Chapter 1147. The 6 of us fought for 3 days and 3 nights, but there was no clear winner. The 6 Lords of the Abyss had similar strength, so it was difficult to determine a winner. Longao still didn't say anything. Among the 6 of us, the Lord of the Abyss was the most powerful. If the battle continued for a long time, he would definitely be the final winner. Yang Ling didn't seem to want to mention the Shadow Lord who had already died. 3 days later, the 5 of us joined forces and attacked at the same time. He had no choice but to enter the Forbidden Abyss. Of course, the 5 of us didn't agree, but at that time, he had already turned into a corpse and was thrown out. Hearing Yang Ling's words, Longao was also shocked. It seemed that the Forbidden Abyss was really something. To be able to kill a Nirvana martial artist in such a short time, it was obvious what was in the Forbidden Abyss. Brother Yang, the 5 of you didn't enter the Forbidden Abyss? Yang Ling shook his head. Yang Ling said helplessly, of course not. Since that time, the 5 of us haven't been there, so very few people know about the Forbidden Abyss. I see. Longao chose to believe Yang Ling, because Yang Ling didn't need to lie to him about such things. Brother Black Wolf, do you mean to tell me that you're going to the Forbidden Abyss? Yang Ling certainly didn't believe that the Forbidden Abyss could kill a Nirvana martial artist in an instant. Black Wolf wouldn't be so reckless to enter unless he was kicked in the head by a donkey. Brother Yang, I won't enter. Longao smiled and continued, I believe you also know that it's impossible for us to kill the 4 of them together, and my servant won't attack first. If we delay this matter, it won't be good for either of us. Now that things had come to this, Yang Ling knew that it was win or die trying. If Black Wolf suddenly withdrew from the Massacre Abyss, then the 4 Lords of the Abyss would definitely join forces to deal with him. If that was the case, then how could he resist the joint forces of the 4 Lords of the Abyss with his strength alone? It was a fight to the death. Yang Ling had already thought it through. If he could get rid of the 4 of them with the help of the Black Wolf, then even splitting the Massacre Abyss equally was not necessarily a bad thing. As for the Black Wolf, Yang Ling was more or less on guard against him. He couldn't help the Black Wolf wholeheartedly. How could Longao not know what Yang Ling was thinking? He snorted coldly in his heart. Regardless of whether it was Longao or Yang Ling, neither of them revealed the truth. They each had their own ulterior motives. Brother Yang, to tell you the truth, I am not only a cultivator, but also an array master. Upon hearing Black Wolf's words, Yang Ling was shocked at first, then a hint of disdain appeared on his face. Even though it was fleeting, it was still noticed by Longao. Formation masters were very powerful existences in the Tianwu continent. Otherwise, the Wanzhan school wouldn't have become a super existence that no one dared to provoke. Yang Ling had already guessed that Black Wolf was most likely someone from a Long family. Since that was the case, even if Black Wolf was an array master, he believed that his array skills were not that great. I wonder what level Brother Black Wolf's array skills have reached. Emperor level. Emperor level? Was that possible? However, Yang Ling was very clear in his heart that Black Wolf wouldn't lie about such things. Could it be that the Black Wolf was really an Emperor-level array master? One had to know that the ranks of array masters were, from lowest to highest, Level 1 Array Master, Level 2 Array Master, Level 3 Array Master, Level 4 Array Master, Level 5 Array Master, Level 6 Array Master, Level 7 Array Master, Level 8 Array Master, Level 9 Array Master, Level 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 Array Master, and Level Array Master. Yang Ling was very clear what an Emperor-level Array Master meant. If Black Wolf was really an Emperor-level Array Master, didn't that mean that Black Wolf was related to Wanzhan School? Long family on one hand, Wanzhan School on the other. What exactly was Black Wolf's identity? Yang Ling was already certain of one thing in his heart, and that was that the identity of the Black Wolf in front of him was definitely not simple. Brother Yang, since we've already said so much, I believe you should know what I mean. Brother Black Wolf, it's not that I don't believe you, but if you were a god-level array master, you might not be able to use arrays to deal with a Nirvana-level martial artist. Moreover, you're really an Emperor-level array master. Yang Ling's words were very tactful. Even a god-level array master couldn't kill a nirvana-level martial artist. If Longao was a martial artist at the peak of the supreme path and a god-level array master, then it might be possible. But now, Black Wolf was just a small great emperor-level martial artist and an emperor-level array master. It was impossible for him to kill a nirvana-level martial artist. It was like a fool's dream. Brother Black Wolf, with your strength, if you can break through the god-level array master level and reach the peak, I believe you can do this. The peak of array? Easier said than done. Longao was very clear about the peak of array that Yang Ling was talking about. The god-level array master level wasn't the true peak of array. Only by breaking through the god-level array master level could one be considered to have stepped onto the peak of array. How many people in the entire Tianwu continent could reach this level? Longao was certain that in the entire Tianwu continent, there was only one person who had reached this level. This person was none other than the Wanzhan School's master, Lin Junhong. If he could break through the god-level array master level and reach the peak of array, would he still need Yang Ling? Not to mention the peak of array, even if it was a god-level array master, Longao was very clear that with his talent, it wouldn't be easy for him to break through to the god-level array master level. Brother Yang, I'll arrange this. I'm going to set up the array outside the Forbidden Abyss. As long as the four of them dare to enter the illusory array, I have a way to deal with them. Yang Ling had already guessed Black Wolf's intention. Black Wolf's intention was simple. He wanted to use the illusory array to lure the five of them into the Forbidden Abyss and use the power of the Forbidden Abyss to kill the four of them. An Emperor-level array master could set up an illusory array. As the saying goes, there's always a possibility. If the four of them were to fail miserably, then the four of them wouldn't be able to escape. Although Black Wolf's face was full of confidence, Yang Ling was still a little hesitant. If Black Wolf failed this time, not only Black Wolf, but even he would die without a burial place. The reason was simple. Although the four of them were wary of the mysterious elder by Black Wolf's side, they weren't afraid of him. If the four of them insisted on killing him and joined forces, would he be able to stop them? This was a matter without any suspense. Without full confidence, Yang Ling wasn't willing to take the risk, nor did he dare to take the risk. Brother Yang, if you're not willing to believe me, then our alliance ends here. Longao looked a little angry, but he was laughing coldly in his heart. To deal with this kind of person, he had to use evil to deal with evil. Chapter 1148. Now that things had come to this, would Yang Ling give up so easily? He was furious. He looked coldly at the young man in front of him. For a moment, the hall was silent. Black Wolf did not speak, and neither did Yang Ling. Time trickled by. After an unknown period of time, Yang Ling suddenly laughed. Brother Black Wolf, you and I have formed an alliance, so I should trust you. Tell me, what should I do now? In the end, Yang Ling chose to compromise. Yang Ling was not a fool. He knew very well that choosing to fall out with Black Wolf at this time would not benefit him at all. Once they did, Black Wolf had the mysterious old man's protection, and it would be almost impossible for him to kill Black Wolf. The remaining four Lords of the Abyss would join forces to deal with him. If that really happened, how would he deal with it? He sneered in his heart. Brother Yang, you only have one task. Next, Longao and Yang Ling whispered in the hall for 2 whole hours. The next day, in the huge pavilion, the East Lord of the Abyss, Hong Lingtong, the West Lord of the Abyss, Luo Qingfeng, the North Lord of the Abyss, Guo Li, and the Middle Lord of the Abyss, Yi Chen, all gathered in the pavilion. Since the beginning of the war, the 5 of them had not gathered together, each with their own agenda. The 4 of them knew that Yang Ling's attack was the fiercest in this battle. If that was the case, why would Yang Ling gather them at this moment? What was the matter? What do you think? If I'm not mistaken, Yang Ling and Black Wolf have formed an alliance. At this time, Yang Ling came to us, so we must be careful. Why don't we join forces and eliminate Yang Ling first? Hearing Hong Lingtong's words, the other 3 did not speak, but the 4 of them looked at each other, as if they had decided on something. The 4 of them were not afraid of Yang Ling, and the only one who was easy to deal with was the mysterious old man beside Black Wolf. Although they did not know why the mysterious old man did not attack, The four of them knew very well that Black Wolf alone was difficult enough to deal with. If Yang Ling joined in, there would be endless trouble in the future. The four of you, long time no see. How have you been? Looking at Yang Ling who walked in, the four of them did not look very good. Yang Ling had attacked them relentlessly. If he hadn't chosen to go into seclusion in the end, Yang Ling probably wouldn't have let them off so easily. The four of them were not fools. They already understood that Yang Ling must have joined forces with Black Wolf. Such a person would definitely become a disaster in the future if they did not eliminate him completely. Yang Ling was startled by their silence. Not daring to be careless, Yang Ling hurriedly said, "I have a way to deal with the Black Wolf, including the mysterious elder." Huh? What did Yang Ling mean by that? The four people who were about to attack calmed down when they heard Yang Ling's words. If they could really get rid of the mysterious old man by Black Wolf's side, then they could just ignore the Black Wolf. Inside the pavilion, no one knew what the five lords of the abyss were talking about. Somewhere in the massacre abyss, Longao was busy setting up an illusion array. In the forbidden land of the abyss, Longao looked at the huge black vortex in front of him with shock. According to Yang Ling, even the lords of the abyss, the so-called Nirvana realm martial artists, would be killed instantly when they entered the huge black vortex. Brother Long, do you really believe Yang Ling? How could Longao not know what Bai Ling meant? He smiled. Bai Ling, since things have already developed to this stage, unless Yang Ling wants to ingratiate himself with both sides, I can guarantee that Yang Ling will not betray us. Even so, Bai Ling was still very worried. Once Yang Ling betrayed Longao and joined forces with the other four lords of the abyss to deal with Longao, the consequences would be unimaginable. Brother Long, none of us know what Yang Ling will do now, so we still have to be on guard. I understand. Bai Ling, help me see if this illusion array can lure the four of them into the forbidden land. Longao was not worried about Yang Ling at all, because in his opinion, unless Yang Ling's brain was damaged, Yang Ling would never betray him and choose to ally with the four lords of the abyss. Longao was only worried about one thing now, and that was the illusion array. If the illusion array could not lure the four of them into the forbidden land, then not only would everything be for naught, but they might even end up worse off. Bai Ling sighed deeply in her heart. Now that things had come to this point, she did not say anything more. Brother Long, this illusion array seems to be very difficult for even supreme path martial artists, let alone the five lords of the abyss. As for luring the four of them into the forbidden land, it depends on speed and luck. Regarding what Bai Ling said, Longao also understood very well. Speed and luck were indispensable. However, life and death depended on this battle. No matter what happened, he had to succeed. Otherwise, it would be even more difficult to continue to deal with the four lords of the abyss in the future. Without further ado, Longao immediately continued to set up the illusion array. 3 days later, the five lords of the abyss, Hong Lingtong of the east, Luo Qingfeng of the west, Guili of the north, Yi Chen of the middle, and Yang Ling of the south, all rushed over. Yang Ling, if you dare to deceive us this time, you'll have to bear the consequences. Of course, the four of them knew that this was the forbidden land of the abyss, but they were curious as to why Black Wolf and the mysterious old man would appear here. However, the four of them certainly would not choose to give up such a rare opportunity. The four of you, don't worry. I told Black Wolf and the mysterious old man before that there's a super treasure in the forbidden land of the abyss. Black Wolf couldn't resist it, but if Black Wolf and the mysterious old man don't enter the forbidden land, we can add fuel to the fire. Yang Ling, what do you want to do? I've already found 10 formation masters to set up a super illusion array. As long as Black Wolf and the mysterious old man enter the illusion array, I'll have a way to lure them into the forbidden land. So that was it. At this point, the four lords of the abyss chose to believe Yang Ling, because as long as the mysterious old man was not eliminated, he would always be a big problem for them. How could the four of them choose to give up such a rare opportunity so easily? The illusion array could not be seen. Outside the forbidden land of the abyss, the five lords of the abyss had just arrived. Black Wolf and the five-element slave had also arrived. As the saying goes, when enemies meet, their eyes blaze with hatred. However, whether it was the 5 Lords of the Abyss or Longao, both sides did not immediately start fighting because both sides had their own ulterior motives, and no one wanted to miss the opportunity. Black Wolf, long time no see. Without waiting for Hong Lingtong to finish speaking, Longao had already waved his hand and said impatiently, Yang Ling, what exactly do you mean? Putting on an act, Longao knew very well what had happened. Chapter 1149. Black Wolf, the peerless treasure, only the fated ones can get it. Yang Ling looked at the 4 shadow lords around him and said with a smile, let's enter the forbidden abyss at the same time and see who can get the peerless treasure. The peerless treasure, whether it was the 4 lords of the abyss or Longao, they all knew that the peerless treasure Yang Ling mentioned didn't exist at all. Both sides wanted to kill the other. In that case, let's cut the crap and show off our abilities. Longao didn't waste any time and walked directly into the forbidden abyss, which was actually the illusory formation. The 5 lords of the abyss looked at each other. At this point, the 5 of them knew very well that only by taking care of Black Wolf and the mysterious old man could they be considered to have eliminated the source of the problem. Next, the 5 lords of the abyss didn't linger and followed Longao into the illusory formation. The illusory formation was activated. Longao had full confidence that with Yang Ling's cooperation, even if the illusory formation couldn't trap the 4 of them, it was more than enough to lure them into the forbidden abyss. The key to the matter was Yang Ling. In the illusory formation. After everyone entered the illusory formation, Longao had just activated the illusory formation. Before he could react, his whole body flew out, and he didn't even have time to summon the 5 element slaves. What happened? Poof! Blood spurted out. If it wasn't for the protection of the desolate saint body, Longao knew very well that at this moment, he would have been killed by the 5 of them. Even the 5 lords of the abyss were shocked that they didn't succeed in killing the other party with one move. Ha ha ha, Black Wolf, do you really think we don't know that your so-called servants can only defend and can't attack? Today, the 5 of us will take your life. In an instant. Longao already knew what had happened. He looked at Yang Ling coldly and said with a sneer, Yang Ling, you betrayed me. One day, I will kill you with my own hands. Hearing this, not only Yang Ling, but even the other 4 lords of the abyss laughed crazily at the same time. Black Wolf, you should think about whether you can survive. Longao's expression was very unsightly because he knew that since the 5 of them dared to use this move, they must have guessed that his 5-element slave was unable to take the initiative to attack. Otherwise, even if the 5 of them were given 10,000 times more courage, he believed that they would absolutely not dare to do this. When the 5 of them joined forces, even the 5-element slave would not be able to block them all. Taking a step back. Even if the 5-element slave could withstand one of their combined attacks, would he be able to withstand 100 of their attacks? Longao was well aware of his own strength. Not to mention 1 against 5, he was no match for any of the lords of the deep caves even in a one-on-one fight. At the moment of life and death, how should he choose? Seeing the gloomy Black Wolf, the 5 abyss lords smiled. As for the 5 elemental slaves, they already knew their characteristics. Black Wolf, seeing that you're not bad, the 5 of us have discussed and decided to give you a chance. Longao didn't say anything as he coldly looked at the 5 people in front of him. At this moment, the illusory formation was broken. The huge black vortex looked eerie and terrifying. Enter the forbidden abyss, and we'll let you go. F***CK. He cursed fiercely in his heart. He had seen shameless people, but he had never seen such shameless people. The 5 of them were shameless to the extreme. Longao didn't say much nonsense. As the saying goes, the winner is the king, and the loser is the bandit. This time, he miscalculated first. He never thought that Yang Ling would betray him at the critical moment. If he had been a little more careful, he believed that he wouldn't have fallen to this point. Turning his head to look at the black vortex in front of him, Longao had already cut off the connection with Bai Ling. The 5 of them sneered. This time, they could finally breathe a sigh of relief after eliminating Black Wolf and the mysterious old man. One day, I'll come back. Come back. The 5 of them still didn't say anything, but disbelief was written all over their faces, and even more contempt and disdain. Could someone who entered the Forbidden Abyss come back alive? Years ago, the Lord of the Abyss entered the Forbidden Abyss, and in just a few seconds, he turned into a skeleton. Not to mention Black Wolf, who was only a great emperor. The next moment, Longao's figure disappeared into the black vortex. He didn't come out. According to the 5 of them, Longao would be thrown out as a skeleton in a few seconds after entering the Forbidden Abyss. But the result? The 5 of them were a little curious. Redwine said with a smile, Black Wolf will definitely die if he enters the Forbidden Abyss. Maybe Black Wolf's strength is too low, and even his skeleton won't be left. The other 4 Lords of the Abyss nodded in agreement. Anyone who entered the Forbidden Abyss would definitely die. Even a Nirvana Realm warrior couldn't escape, let alone a great emperor. Yang Ling, it's all thanks to you that we were able to kill Black Wolf this time. Don't look for me next time. Hong Lingtong smiled and nodded, saying, even if Hei Lang dies, I believe he won't be able to guess that the battle between the 5 of us was just an act. From the beginning to the end, it was all a scam. We have to keep this a secret. If I'm not wrong, Black Wolf's identity isn't simple. The Wanjian school and Long family are involved. If the 2 superpowers enter the Massacre Abyss, it won't be good for us. The other 4 Lords of the Abyss agreed. Although the Massacre Shadow was extremely powerful, it seemed like a fool's dream to fight against the Wanjian school and Long family. The Tianwu continent was divided into 10 factions. The Long family, the Alchemy Guild, the Martial Artists Alliance, the Myriad Beasts sect, the Heaven and Earth sect, the 5 Elements sect, the Wanjian school, the Sword sect, the Purple Thunder sect, and the Black Heaven sect. Any one of these superpowers could make the continent tremble. It would be a lie to say that they weren't afraid of them. It had been confirmed that Black Wolf and the mysterious old man had died, and the 5 Lords of the Abyss had disappeared outside the Forbidden Abyss. Wild winds rose, and black mist filled the air. Outside the Massacre Abyss, black tornadoes suddenly appeared. They were like thousands of soldiers and horses, crazily sweeping through the entire Forbidden Abyss. There was no one around. Not even a ghost. Other than a few people who knew about the Forbidden Abyss, almost no one in the entire Massacre Abyss knew about it. Even if someone knew, they wouldn't dare to step in. With such a terrifying phenomenon, how many people were not afraid of death and dared to try? No one knew about the battle between Longao and the 5 Lords of the Abyss. In the Massacre Abyss, Black Wolf was like a dark horse that rose to power. He fought against the 5 Lords of the Abyss by himself. In so many years, no one had ever been able to do that. In the Slaughter Abyss, the strong were revered. Everyone worshipped the strong. Therefore, Hei Lang's strong rise did not cause any disgust or disdain. On the contrary, Hei Lang received the respect of many people. Chapter 1150. In the Massacre Abyss. Black Wolf's sudden disappearance caused a great uproar in the city. Everyone was guessing where Black Wolf had gone. However, Black Wolf's recent momentum had been very strong. It was a bit abnormal for him to disappear at this time. The 5 Lords of the Abyss didn't have the slightest interest in the rise of the Dragon Sect. They even went to war with each other, causing the whole city to be littered with corpses and rivers of blood. But now, the 5 Lords of the Abyss seemed to have a tacit understanding and all stopped fighting. Not only that, the 5 Lords of the Abyss joined forces to attack the Dragon Sect. With Black Wolf at the helm, the Dragon Sect could sit back and relax. Now that the Dragon Sect had lost Black Wolf, could they still sit back and relax? Fatty and Skinny were also helpless to the extreme. Others didn't know about the sudden disappearance of their master, but how could they not know? If there was no accident, their master must have fallen into a trap and was now in grave danger. Given the current situation of the Dragon Sect, how could they contend with the 5 Lords of the Abyss? With no other choice, Fatty and Skinny decided to retreat in order to advance. They hid the Dragon Sect from the ground and avoided the attacks of the 5 Lords of the Abyss first. Just like that, the Dragon Sect that had been in the limelight suddenly disappeared. No one in the Massacre Abyss knew what had happened. The 5 Lords of the Abyss didn't pursue the disappearance of the Dragon Sect. In their view, Black Wolf and the mysterious old man had already fallen. Even the dragon sect couldn't make much of a splash. That was exactly the case. The strong rise of Black Wolf and the war of the 5 Lords of the Abyss instantly calmed down. The Massacre Abyss was still ruled by the 5 Lords of the Massacre Abyss. The dragon sect came quickly and left even faster. The Massacre Abyss, in the void of the 9 heavens, a hall was floating in mid-air. The entire hall was transparent and black. From below, no one could see the hall, as if it had completely merged with the air. At this moment, the 5 Lords of the Abyss, Hong Lingtong of the east, Yang Ling of the south, Luo Qingfeng of the west, Guoli of the north, and Yi Chen of the middle, all gathered outside the hall. At this moment, the 5 of them could be said to be trembling with fear and respect. If others saw the 5 Abyss Lords of the Massacre Abyss standing outside the palace like this, who knew what they would think? "Sir, why did you suddenly summon us?" The 4 of them shook their heads, indicating that they did not know. Guoli, the Lord of the Northern Abyss, said in surprise, "My lord hasn't summoned us for so many years, until now." Guoli didn't finish his words, but the meaning in his words was already very clear. "Let's go. Don't keep the Lord waiting." The 5 Abyss Lords shuddered as they entered the hall. There was not a single person in the spacious hall. The dim hall was like the underworld. "Where is my lord?" The 5 Lords of the Abyss were very curious. They didn't know where their lord was, but they didn't dare to move or shout. They knew their lord's temper very well. If he wanted to, he could kill them in a matter of minutes. "Have a seat." Suddenly, a dignified voice sounded. Before the 5 of them could react, a black-robed man appeared silently at the head of the hall. His entire body was wrapped in black clothes, revealing only a pair of deep and dark eyes. When they saw the black-robed man, the 5 Lords of the Abyss, Hong Lingtong, the Lord of the Abyss in the east, Yang Ling, the Lord of the Abyss in the south, Luo Qingfeng, the Lord of the Abyss in the west, Guoli, the Lord of the Abyss in the north, and Yi Chen, the Lord of the Abyss in the middle bowed respectfully. Their expressions were as respectful as they could be. "Sit." The 5 of them did not dare to disobey and sat down carefully. The 5 of them looked at each other. They didn't know why their lord had summoned them this time. The black-robed man did not speak. The entire hall was silent. The black-robed man did not speak, and the 5 of them did not dare to speak either. Time passed by little by little. After an unknown amount of time, the black-robed man suddenly asked, "I already know everything about the Black Wolf. Now, the 5 of you better tell me everything in detail. Don't leave out anything, or you'll be killed without mercy." The 5 Lords of the Abyss were all shocked to hear the words "without mercy." Not daring to be careless or hide anything, the 5 Lords of the Abyss recounted everything from beginning to end, not even daring to leave out a single word. After listening, the black-robed man fell silent again. The black-robed man was silent. The 5 of them did not dare to say anything. They sat where they were, trembling. The 5 Lords of the Abyss did not know why their lord suddenly asked about the Black Wolf. After all, how could an insignificant Black Wolf attract their lord's attention? Since the black-robed man did not say anything, the 5 of them did not dare to ask. The Black Wolf entered the forbidden land of the Abyss. Hong Lingtong immediately replied, "My lord, although the mysterious old man next to the Black Wolf can only defend and not attack, we did not dare to keep him alive. So, the 5 of us joined hands and sent the Black Wolf into the forbidden land of the Abyss." Before Hong Lingtong could finish his words, the sound of a slap rang out. One had to admit that the black-robed man's strength and speed were terrifying. Even with Hong Lingtong's strength, he could not react in time or even resist. The black-robed man's slap stunned not only Hong Lingtong but also the other 4, Yang Ling, Luo Qingfeng, Guoli, and Yi Chen. They did not know what the black-robed man meant. Hong Lingtong was scared out of his wits. He sat on the chair, trembling. If the black-robed man really attacked, he would not even have the chance to dodge. Did he do something wrong? Humph. Hearing the black-robed man's cold snort, not only Hong Lingtong but the other 4 also stood up and knelt on the ground. They did not even dare to breathe loudly because the 5 of them knew very well how terrifying the black-robed man's strength was. Even if the 5 of them joined forces, they would only be trash in front of the black-robed man. This was the terrifying strength of the black-robed man. From beginning to end, the 5 of them did not know the black-robed man's identity. Originally, the 5 of them were the rulers of the massacre abyss. However, one day, a mysterious palace suddenly appeared, bringing the black-robed man with it. The black-robed man wanted to dominate the massacre abyss. Could the 5 of them agree? There was no doubt that the 5 of them joined forces to kill the black-robed man. However, with just one move, the black-robed man defeated the 5 of them in just one move. Moreover, if he wanted to kill them, it would be as easy as flipping his hand. Since then, the 5 of them did not dare to provoke the black-robed man and offered the massacre abyss to him with both hands. On the surface, the 5 of them were still the rulers of the massacre abyss. In fact, the real ruler was the black-robed man, not the 5 abyss lords. Chapter 1151. The 5 lords of the abyss were all trembling with fear. No one knew what the man in black wanted. The 5 of you, enter the forbidden abyss immediately. Hearing the man in black's words, the 5's faces suddenly changed. They were all dumbfounded and their bodies trembled violently. The 5 of them knew very well what the forbidden abyss meant. In the past, an abyss master had entered the forbidden land of the abyss, and he had been reduced to a skeleton in less than a few seconds. If they also entered the forbidden abyss, the consequences would be obvious. Until now, the 5 of them still couldn't figure out why the man in black wanted them to enter the forbidden abyss. But one had to know. According to the man in black's strength, it would be easy to kill them in a matter of minutes. In that case, why did the man in black do this? If it was something else, the 5 of them would never dare to ask why. But it was a matter of life and death. The 5 of them couldn't enter the forbidden abyss easily. Since they were going to die anyway, at least they had to know why. The other 4 looked at Hong Lingtong. Their meaning was clear. He sighed deeply in his heart. Hong Lingtong knew very well that at this moment, if he didn't show up, the 5 of them would definitely die. There was no chance for them to enter the forbidden abyss. Gathering his courage, Hong Lingtong asked carefully, "Sir, why do you want the 5 of us to enter the forbidden abyss?" The man in black was wrapped in black clothes. They couldn't see his face and expression at all. The 5 of them were very scared. They were afraid that the man in black would suddenly attack. "You enter the forbidden abyss. I don't care what you do, you have to kill Black Wolf. Otherwise, the 5 of you will be beheaded." Hearing that the man in black wanted the 5 of them to enter the forbidden abyss for this, the 5 of them were completely stunned. They swallowed their saliva hard. Hong Lingtong continued, "Sir, the forbidden abyss is extremely dangerous. He died in there. If we enter, we will definitely die." It was a matter of life and death. It was still the same sentence. Instead of dying in the forbidden abyss, it was better to be killed by the man in black now to save trouble. "I have removed the restriction in the forbidden abyss. You will be fine as long as you don't go to the center." So that was it. The 5 of them were very clear about the black-clothed man's remarkable abilities, so they did not have the slightest suspicion. The 5 of them were not fools. Since the black-robed man was acting like this, if they were not mistaken, the black-robed man must be related to the forbidden abyss. Otherwise, how could the black-robed man remove the restriction? "My lord, forgive me for asking, but since the taboo of the forbidden abyss has not been lifted, how did Black Wolf enter it?" The 5 of them had already guessed that Black Wolf had not died in the forbidden abyss. Otherwise, there was no need for the black-clothed man to make such an unnecessary move. "You don't have the right to know. Get out. I'll give you 1 month." After saying that, the black-clothed man's figure disappeared from the hall. The 5 lords of the abyss looked at each other. None of them knew what was going on. The 5 of them were a little confused. Perhaps it was too sudden. The 5 of them stood up in fear and helplessness, then turned around and left one after another. "Get lost." In the massacre abyss, only the black-clothed man dared to say that. The 5 of them did not lose their temper at all. As soon as the 5 of them left, the black-clothed man's figure reappeared in the hall. The black cloth on his face disappeared, revealing a weathered face. If Longao was here and saw the black-clothed man's face, who knew what he would do? The black-clothed man was none other than Longao's ancestor, the so-called Long Batian. Longao, whether you live or die depends on you. Long Batian raised his head and looked at the empty hall. His face became more and more weathered. In the massacre abyss. Just as the 5 of them guessed, Longao did not die. It was a mass grave. Corpses and skeletons were scattered all over the place. Longao stepped into the forbidden abyss and was prepared to die at any time. As soon as he stepped in, he was attacked by a terrifying power. In the end, Longao used all his skills and finally resisted the power attack, but he was seriously injured. If it were not for the protection of the sacred desolation body, Longao believed that at this moment, he would have already gone to see the King of Hell. Letting out a painful cry, Longao opened his eyes with difficulty. He glanced around and found that there were bones everywhere. He was a little surprised. It seemed that his luck was really good. Even so, he did not die and smoothly entered the forbidden abyss. Not daring to move, Longao immediately mobilized the power in his body and circulated it all over his body. In the dark mass grave. Time passed quickly. After an unknown amount of time, Longao finally felt much better. Only then did he slowly crawl up from the ground. "Brother Long, are you okay?" Just now, Longao was recuperating. Bai Ling had not dared to speak. Seeing that Longao could stand up, she asked worriedly. Shaking his head, Longao said that he was fine. "I'm fine. Bai Ling, help me sense what's different about this place." Longao didn't know why, but he always felt that there was something wrong with the forbidden abyss. It could instantly kill a Nirvana realm martial artist. Just thinking about it made sense, but Longao was very curious. Since even a Nirvana realm martial artist couldn't resist it, how could he enter the forbidden abyss alive? Nodding, Bai Ling saw that Longao was fine and was more or less relieved. Then, she sensed the forbidden abyss. Longao did not rush her and observed the surrounding environment. Around, in addition to bones, there were rocks. It was a huge mass grave. The aura flowing around was a little dark. Even if he absorbed a little more, he would have a very uncomfortable feeling. Not daring to absorb too much, Longao used the chi circulation in his body and the firmament devouring art to devour the surrounding aura. Then, he spat it out. In this way, Longao did not absorb any aura at all. After sensing for a long time, Bai Ling finally shook her head helplessly and said, "I can't sense anything wrong. Brother Long, you have to be careful." Even Bai Ling couldn't sense it. Longao was also shocked. He didn't dare to be careless. He began to slowly walk forward. Step by step, he was careful. He was on full alert. The entire forbidden abyss seemed to be a mass grave. No matter where one went, there were corpses and rocks everywhere. It was dark all around. If an ordinary person were to enter this place, not to mention other things, just walking would be the biggest problem. "Longao, wait." At this time, Xiling suddenly shouted anxiously. Longao did not know what happened, but he still stopped. Chapter 1152. Xiling, what happened? Looking at the mass graves around him, Longao chose to believe in Xiling. Xiling did not appear, but his voice was heard. "Longao, there's a murderous aura around. Be careful. Sister." Before Bai Ling could speak, Xiling continued, "If I'm not wrong, the aura around us should be from the dark demonic dragon." Dark demonic dragon? Giant dragon? If it was really a giant dragon, Longao was more or less relieved. The reason was simple. Long Qiong had begun to integrate with the god Dragon Ball. Ordinary giant dragons could not compete with Long Qiong in terms of aura alone. However, when Bai Ling heard Xiling's words, she was shocked. "Sister, what should Brother Long do now?" Why was Bai Ling so anxious? Longao, the dark demonic dragon does not belong to the dragon clan. It's a natural ruler of darkness. No giant dragon of the same level is a match for the dark demonic dragon. Even if the dragon clan leader were here, he would not be able to suppress the dark demonic dragon with his aura. Xiling's last sentence was obviously telling Longao that even if Long Qiong had the God Dragon Ball, he would not be able to suppress the dark demonic dragon. If that was the case, they would be in big trouble. Before Xiling could speak, Longao also sensed a strong aura around him. This aura was filled with endless darkness. The next moment, densely packed black dots appeared all around. From afar, the black dots looked like small black mountains. The black dots were very fast. In the blink of an eye, they were in front of him. He did not know if he did not look, but he was shocked when he saw it. Longao was surrounded by huge black giant dragons. Their bodies were covered in black dragon scales. The aura they emitted was abnormally dark and terrifying. Divine giant dragons. As far as the eye could see, there were at least 1,000 dark demonic dragons densely packed together. Longao was shocked. Thousands of divine beast dark demonic dragons, not to mention 1 against 1,000, even if it was 1 against 1, he wouldn't be a match for them. What the hell is this place? Without any hesitation, Longao took a big stride forward and disappeared from where he stood. In the dragon seal space, Longao let out a long sigh of relief. If he couldn't enter the dragon seal space in this situation, he would definitely die if he was besieged by thousands of divine beasts and dragons. Long Fu, what should I do? With over 1,000 dark demon dragons guarding outside, Longao was very clear that if he didn't deal with the dark demon dragons, he wouldn't be able to leave the dragon seal space, let alone leave the forbidden abyss. Master, I don't know much about the dark demonic dragon. Can you look for Xiling and Bai Ling? Even Long Fu was helpless. Longao was also helpless. In desperation, Longao could only look for Xiling and Bai Ling. Brother Long, the dark demonic dragon belongs to the dark attribute. Especially here, it's like adding wings to a tiger. With thousands of divine beast dark demonic dragons joining forces, not to mention you, I believe that even a supreme divine path martial artist would be drowned by the demonic dragon army. Longao was also aware of this. Bai Ling, what should I do now? Bai Ling looked at Xiling. It seemed that Bai Ling also didn't know what to do. Thousands of divine beast dragons, and dark demonic dragons at that. Just the thought of it was enough to give anyone a headache. Longao followed Bai Ling's gaze and looked at Xiling. Xiling's face didn't look too good. After thinking for a while, he said, Longao, I believe you know better than me what thousands of dark demonic dragons mean. I've thought about it, and there's only one way to get rid of these dark demonic dragons. What is it? Longao was a little impatient. He didn't want to stay a moment longer. He couldn't wait to leave the forbidden abyss. Yang Ling must avenge this. Longao, although the dark demonic dragons are extremely powerful, they have a natural nemesis. What is the nemesis of dark demonic dragons? Longao didn't know and didn't say anything. He stared at Xiling because he knew very well that since Xiling said so, Xiling must know. Otherwise, he wouldn't be like this. Longao, I didn't expect you to be so unlucky to encounter the dark demonic dragons at this time. Longao was also a little helpless. His luck was indeed a little too bad this time. The nemesis of the dark attribute is the thunder attribute. Xiling didn't need to continue. Longao already knew what he meant. Thinking about it, it made sense. The nemesis of the dark attribute was indeed the thunder attribute. However, Longao was still a little worried. After all, with the thunder attribute in his body, not to mention the divine beast, the dark demonic dragon, he believed that it would be difficult to fight the dark demonic dragons of the Great Emperor level. As if he could guess Longao's thoughts, Xiling said, Longao, if we were outside, my sister and I would join forces. With Long Fu's help, it would be more than enough to attract the thunder attribute of heaven and earth for a short period of time. Hearing Xiling's words, Longao was shocked. Longao knew very well what it meant to attract the thunder attribute of heaven and earth, even if it was only for a short period of time. He never thought that Xiling and Bai Ling's strength would be so strong. It was far beyond his estimation. Xiling's words were very clear. Outside, the three of them could attract the thunder attribute of heaven and earth for a short period of time to destroy the dark demonic dragon. However, inside the forbidden abyss, even Xiling and Bai Ling couldn't attract the thunder attribute of heaven and earth. Letting out a deep sigh, it seemed that it wouldn't be easy for him to leave the forbidden abyss. Sister, is there really no other way? Seeing Longao at his wit's end, Bai Ling couldn't bear it. In fact, according to normal people's thinking, with such a powerful artifact like the Dragon Seal Space, as long as Longao stayed inside for 8 to 10 years, Longao's strength would increase by leaps and bounds. When the time came for him to leave the Dragon Seal Space, there wouldn't be any problems. Xiling fiercely glared at his sister. There was nothing he could do. He only had one sister, how could he not help her? Longao, it's not that there's no other way. I just said that I've thought of a way, but it's very dangerous. You'd better consider it carefully. If you can't destroy the dark demonic dragon, the one who will die will be you. Xiling's words were very serious. Longao could somewhat guess, but things had already come to this point. Even if he wanted to retreat, he was afraid that he couldn't. Xiling, what's the way? Xiling and Bai Ling weren't surprised at all. They knew Longao's character very well. If he was afraid, then he wouldn't be Longao. Because of this, Bai Ling didn't continue to persuade him. Longao, although the forbidden area of the abyss is unable to draw the power of the lightning of heaven and earth, but your bloodline is very powerful and mysterious. I have already sensed it for a very long time. As long as my sister and I join hands, with the help of Long Fu, we can use your bloodline as a guide, and thus forcibly draw the power of the lightning of the ninth heaven. Chapter 1153. After listening to Xiling's plan, Longao was a little surprised. Using his bloodline as a guide, he could forcefully trigger the power of the ninth heaven thunder. Just thinking about it made one realize how dangerous it was to do so. Before Longao could ask, Xiling continued, Longao, just relying on your bloodline is not enough to trigger the power of the ninth heaven thunder. We have to use the space-time wheel. Space-time wheel? Longao's heart skipped a beat. The space-time wheel, once forcefully used, the backlash would be extraordinary. If he could use the space-time wheel, he would have left the forbidden abyss long ago. Xiling, I believe you know better than me how powerful the backlash from the space-time wheel is. Once I use the space-time wheel, let's not talk about whether I can trigger the power of the nine heavens lightning. Just the fact that I can continue living is the biggest problem. He could not lose a watermelon for a sesame seed. Unless it was a last resort, Longao would never use the space-time wheel casually. Xiling thought about it and said, don't worry, we won't use the space-time wheel to leave the forbidden abyss. We'll just use the space-time wheel to forcefully break open the space-time. This way, you won't suffer any backlash. Hearing this, Longao breathed a sigh of relief. When do we start? The three of us need to prepare. Next. Longao basically had nothing to do. The rest was left to Xiling, Bai Ling, and Long Fu. Outside the forbidden abyss. The five abyssal lords were Hong Lingtong in the east, Yang Ling in the south, Luo Qingfeng in the west, Guo Li in the north, and Yi Chen in the middle. The five of them were extremely depressed. Although the black-robed man had removed the restriction, no one in the abyss knew if it was really removed except for the black-robed man. It was better to be safe than sorry. What if the black-robed man did not remove the restriction or forgot to remove it? Then, would the five of them not have sacrificed themselves for nothing? The five of them were extremely unwilling to enter the forbidden abyss. However, with the black-robed man's deterrence, how could the five of them not enter the forbidden abyss? The five of them looked at each other, and their expressions were very ugly. Black Wolf's identity is not simple. How could the other four lords of the abyss not know what Yang Ling meant? For the black-clothed man to appear personally, it was obvious that Black Wolf's identity was not simple. The five of them were trying to guess who Black Wolf was. What should we do now? What can we do? His Excellency has already ordered that we must enter the forbidden abyss. Otherwise, only death awaits the five of us. When they thought of the terrifying strength of the black-clothed man, the five of them felt a chill in their hearts. The black-clothed man's strength was too terrifying. Not to mention a one-on-one battle, even if the five of them joined forces, they still wouldn't be a match for the black-clothed man. The five of them did not hesitate and immediately stepped into the huge black vortex. In the blink of an eye, the 5 figures had already disappeared without a trace. Just as the black-clothed man had said, the taboo of the Forbidden Abyss had been lifted. The 5 of them smoothly entered the Forbidden Abyss, which was the so-called mass graves. The 5 of them were really unlucky, even more so than Longao. As soon as the 5 of them stepped into the Forbidden Abyss, they were immediately besieged by thousands of dark demonic dragons. Wave after wave of attacks, endless. The 5 of them did not have the dragon seal and could not enter the dragon seal space, so they could only resist the attacks of the dark demonic dragons. Thousands of divine beasts, dark demon dragons, had terrifying attack power. If the 5 of them were not Nirvana realm martial artists, they would have been defeated long ago. Even if they were supreme divine Dao martial artists, they could not withstand the attack of thousands of dark demon dragons. In the dragon seal space. Brother Long, the 5 of them have entered. 5 of them? Longao certainly knew who the 5 people that Bai Ling mentioned were. The East Abyssal Lord Hong Lingtong, the South Abyssal Lord Yang Ling, the West Abyssal Lord Luo Qingfeng, the North Abyssal Lord Guoli, and the Middle Abyssal Lord Yi Chen. Longao never thought that the 5 Abyssal Lords would choose to enter the Forbidden Abyss at this time. Almost without guessing, Longao already knew why the 5 of them had entered the Forbidden Abyss. If there were no surprises, the 5 of them had entered the Forbidden Abyss to deal with him. However, what made Longao suspicious was how the 5 of them knew that he did not have it. Moreover, how did the 5 of them enter the Forbidden Abyss? One must know. Before this, the 5 of them could not enter at all. If it were not for his sacred desolation body and various trump cards, he would have died in the Forbidden Abyss. It seemed that this matter was not simple. Brother Long, what are you going to do? The strength of the 5 of them was there. Even with Xiling, Bai Ling, and Long Fu's power, they were no match for the 5 of them. If the 5 Nirvana martial artists joined forces, it was believed that even martial artists of the same level would only have a dead end. Xiling, if we use the power of thunder and lightning, can we kill the 5 of them? Longao's meaning was very simple. Even if the 5 of them did not enter this time, with the strength of both sides, he would find them sooner or later to settle accounts with them. However, with the strength of the 5 of them, it would not be easy for him to succeed in his revenge. If possible, he could use this opportunity to kill the 5 of them. At that time, no one in the Massacre Abyss would stop him. He could sweep through the Massacre Abyss and dominate the Massacre Abyss. At that time, he could use the power of the Massacre Abyss to rise to power in the Tianwu continent. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Even if there was only a slight chance, Longao was not willing to choose to give up easily. Longao, yes. Hearing Xiling's words, Longao was extremely surprised and did not continue to hesitate. Long Fu, Xiling, and Bai Ling continued to prepare, and so did Longao. After all, using the space-time wheel and bloodline was his business. The 3 of them could not interfere at all. Within the forbidden grounds of the Abyss, the moment the 5 Lords of the Abyss stepped in, they were surrounded by thousands of black demon dragons. Even though the 5 of them were strong, they could not withstand such an attack. Furthermore, this was the forbidden grounds of the Abyss. The black demon dragon's strength was multiplied here. If it were outside, the 5 of them could kill thousands of black demon dragons in a matter of minutes. This was a completely different concept. The 5 of them were clear about this point. Furthermore, the 5 of them had not expected to meet the legendary black demon dragons here. This was a little scary. The 5 of them did not dare to be careless. The 5 of them stood back to back and counterattacked with all their might. In a short period of time, it would not be easy to determine the victor. Boom, boom, boom. All of a sudden, the entire forbidden grounds of the Abyss was filled with terrifying thunder. The dark skies were filled with dark clouds as the thunder rumbled, reverberating through the entire forbidden grounds of the Abyss. Chapter 1154. At this moment, the 5 Lords of the Deep Caves couldn't care less about the dark clouds. They were fully focused on fighting the dark demon dragons. Thousands of dark demon dragons attacking together was extremely powerful. Even the 5 Lords of the Deep Caves didn't dare to let their guard down. Rumble, rumble. Thunder rumbled and dark clouds covered the sky. At this moment, Longao's figure suddenly appeared. "Look, guys." Hearing Yang Ling's exclamation, the other four raised their heads and looked at the black figure that suddenly appeared in midair. Dressed in black, with long blood-red hair. Who else could it be but Black Wolf? Black Wolf wasn't dead indeed. When the man in black said that Black Wolf wasn't dead, the 5 lords of the deep caves didn't believe him. After all, it didn't matter if others believed it or not, the 5 of them didn't believe it at all. Looking at Black Wolf, the 5 of them stopped. Even the thousands of dark demon dragons stopped. At the top of the dark clouds, Longao stood quietly and looked at everything coldly. With the help of the spacetime wheel, he forcefully connected to the outside world and triggered the bloodline in his body. With the help of Xiling, Bai Ling, and Long Fu, he barely managed to trigger the power of the 9 heavens lightning. One hit for sure. Longao knew very well that if he couldn't kill the dark demon dragons and the 5 lords of the deep caves in one hit, he would have to return to the Dragon Seal space. As for whether he could leave the Forbidden Abyss, it was still unknown. With the help of the lightning aura, Longao had locked onto everyone. Not only that, Longao was ready to risk everything. When he killed the thousands of dark demon dragons this time, he would also forcefully devour some of their power. According to Long Fu, his cultivation base had reached a bottleneck. As long as he could absorb a huge amount of power, it would be easy for him to break through from the titled Great Emperor to the demigod realm. Let's work together. Being locked onto by the lightning aura, the 5 lords of the deep caves were extremely shocked. Their faces were full of fear. Although the 5 of them did not know how Black Wolf did it, they knew very well that once the terrifying power of lightning descended, even the 5 of them would not be able to withstand it. Hearing Hong Lingtong's words, the other 4 did not dare to be careless in the slightest. The next moment, the 5 lords of the abyss immediately joined forces, ready to break the lock by force. It wasn't just the 5 of them. Even the thousands of dark demonic dragons were releasing their terrifying auras as if they were preparing to break through the lockdown. Longao, attack! Upon hearing Xiling's words, Longao did not hesitate any longer. He activated his bloodline and forcefully opened the space-time wheel. Boom, boom, boom. The sound of thunder became more and more intense, and countless bolts of lightning appeared around Longao. At this moment, Longao was like a god of thunder descending. Catcher, catcher, Longao used the firmament-devouring art, and a huge black vortex appeared behind him. Not only that, but Longao also moved his hands, and a terrifying power of lightning ruthlessly struck towards everyone and the dark demonic dragon. The 5 of them were terrified to the extreme. But at this moment, no matter how much strength they used, no matter how hard they tried, they could not break through the lockdown of the lightning. What should they do? Were they going to be killed by Black Wolf just like that? The 5 of them were unwilling. The East Lord of the Abyss Hong Lingtong, the South Lord of the Abyss Yang Ling, the West Lord of the Abyss Luo Qingfeng, the North Lord of the Abyss Guo Li, and the Middle Lord of the Abyss Yi Chen could not move even if they wanted to. Other than being terrified, the 5 of them were cursing the man in black in their hearts. There was no need for them to enter the Forbidden Abyss this time. Even if the Black Wolf did not die after entering the Forbidden Abyss, it would not be easy for the Black Wolf to leave the Forbidden Abyss. Since that was the case, the 5 of them were simply too bored to enter the Forbidden Abyss for no reason. The 5 of them looked at each other, and they could see the intense fear in each other's eyes. No one was unafraid of death, not even the 5 lords of the abyss. The lightning attack is coming, Yang Ling screamed in fear, and the other 4 began to attack wildly. Around them, thousands of dark demon dragons also seemed to have sensed the lightning attack, and they attacked wildly. One had to admit that the lightning power that Longao triggered was very powerful. Even if the 5 lords of the abyss joined forces with the dark demon dragons, they could not break through the lockdown of the lightning aura and the lightning attack. Must kill. Since things had come to this point, of course, Longao would not let anyone go. Terrifying thunderbolts struck down like a meteor shower. Thunderbolts followed one after another, like tens of thousands of swords. Not to mention personally witnessing it, just looking at it was very frightening. Seeing this, Longao was full of confidence. This time, if he could not kill the 5 Lords of the Abyss and the Dark Demon Dragons, he could just die. After all, forcefully using the space-time wheel and bloodline could not be done every time. Although Xiling did not say it explicitly, he could clearly sense it. If he missed the opportunity, he would be in big trouble later. Going all out, according to Xiling, Longao only needed to use a little bloodline to trigger the lightning power. However, in order to kill the 5 Lords of the Abyss and the Dark Demon Dragons in one shot, Longao used 10 times more bloodline. Dizzy, but Longao gritted his teeth and persevered. As long as he could kill the 5 Lords of the Abyss and the Dark Demon Dragons, not only could he leave the Forbidden Abyss smoothly, even if he returned to the Massacre Abyss. With the 5 Lords of the Abyss dead, all the enemies in his way would be cleared. In this battle, he could only succeed. Failure was not an option. The lightning was very fast. In the blink of an eye, countless bolts of lightning had reached the 5 Lords of the Abyss and enveloped all the Dark Demon Dragons. Just when Longao thought he could kill the 5 Lords of the Abyss, a shocking scene happened. The 5 Lords, who had been targeted by the lightning aura, had already chosen to give up. Just when they were feeling desperate, a black shield suddenly appeared around the 5 of them. The lightning power kept striking the black shield, but there was no reaction at all. It was like a stone sinking into the sea, or a drop of water falling into the sea, without the slightest splash. What happened? Seeing the 5 Lords of the Abyss being enveloped by the black shield, Longao was a little dumbfounded. However, Longao decisively chose to give up on attacking the 5 Lords of the Abyss and attacked the Dark Demon Dragons around them. The 5 Lords of the Abyss were protected by the black shield, but the Dark Demon Dragons did not. Because of this, the terrifying lightning power kept devouring the Dark Demon Dragons. Just after devouring 2 Dark Demon Dragons, the remaining Dark Demon Dragons seemed to know that they were no match for the opponent. Strictly speaking, they were no match for lightning. Therefore, the Dark Demon Dragons around them fled in all directions. In the blink of an eye, they had disappeared without a trace. Chapter 1155. At this moment, Longao could be considered depressed to the extreme. Longao did not waste anything after devouring 2 divine dragons. With the help of the celestial devouring technique, he immediately sent his divine soul and bloodline into the dragon seal space. As for whether he could break through to the demigod realm, it was still unknown. Longao did not return to the dragon seal space. Instead, he came to the 5 of them. Without the threat of the dark demonic dragons, Longao was more or less relieved. Longao was very curious. He did not know what the black aura shield that suddenly appeared around the 5 of them was. It could withstand the lightning attack. One could only imagine how terrifying the black aura shield was. Longao was very confident. According to the strength of the 5 of them, it was impossible for them to withstand the power of lightning. Previously, he had seen the despair of the 5 of them with his own eyes. The black aura shield disappeared. Black Wolf. Before Hong Lingtong finished speaking, a black-robed man suddenly appeared in front of the 5 of them. Seeing the black-robed man, the 5 of them were shocked. They bowed respectfully and said, "Sir." "Sir." Hearing the 5 Lords of the Abyss call the black-robed man Sir, Longao was also shocked. Who was the black-robed man? However, the 5 of them were bona fide Nirvana realm martial artists. They had almost reached the peak of martial arts. As long as they could absorb the origin energy, it was not impossible for them to break through to the peak of martial arts. "You're Black Wolf?" He nodded. Longao was very wary of the black-robed man. If even the 5 of them were so respectful, it was obvious how terrifying the black-robed man's strength was. "Who are you? Do you have the right to know?" The black-robed man glanced coldly at the 5 of them behind him and said coldly, "A bunch of useless good-for-nothings." The 5 of them jumped in fright. Each and every one of them trembled with fear and trepidation. The 5 of them did not dare to speak. They were like mice that saw a cat. "Black Wolf, why don't we play a game?" "A game?" Longao did not know what the black-robed man wanted. He did not speak and just stared at him. "I will forcibly suppress the strength of the 5 of them to the level of demigods." I really want to see if you can leave the Forbidden Abyss alive if you fight the 5 of them alone. Just as he finished speaking, suddenly, a terrifying power erupted from the black-clothed man and enveloped the 5 of them. Before the 5 of them could react, the 5 of them who were originally in the Nirvana realm were forcefully reduced to the demigod realm. The black-clothed man disappeared, but the 5 of them were furious to the extreme. Their cultivation had been forcefully reduced for no reason, but the 5 of them did not dare to speak up. The 5 of them were still very confident. Even if they were only reduced to the level of a demigod, a mere black wolf was still nothing to them. Great emperors, even titled great emperors, were no match for demigods, let alone 1 against 5. The 5 of you, let's settle our grudges later. I'd like to ask, what's the background of that black-clothed man? Longao was almost certain that the black-robed man was the reason why the 5 Abyss Lords were able to enter the forbidden abyssal grounds as they pleased. Moreover, the black-clothed man was able to help the 5 of them withstand the lightning attack. His own strength was also very terrifying. Moreover, the black-clothed man had also forcefully reduced the cultivation of the 5 of them. Just the thought of such a remarkable ability was terrifying. What was the background of the black-clothed man? The 5 of them looked at each other and felt extremely helpless. Not to mention Black Wolf, even the 5 of them did not know the identity of the black-clothed man. The black-clothed man was extremely mysterious. Until now, the 5 of them had not gotten a single clue. Hong Lingtong took a step forward and sneered. Black Wolf, what's the background of the Lords is none of your business. I'd like to see how you're going to leave the forbidden abyssal grounds today. Hearing this, Longao already knew that this battle was unavoidable. Longao more or less heaved a sigh of relief. The reason was simple. The 5 of them were no longer in the Nirvana realm. Although they were only in the demigod realm, he still had some confidence. It was not an easy task to defeat all 5 of them at once. In the next second, Longao's figure suddenly disappeared from where he was. Inside the dragon seal space. Xiling, can you reactivate the lightning just now? Longao was very satisfied with the attack just now. If he could reactivate it, the 5 Lords of the Abyss would definitely die. After all, he had devoured 2 dark demonic dragons with the help of the lightning power. No. He let out a deep sigh. Just as he had guessed, the lightning could not be activated a second time. Longao, I know what you mean, but I can tell you clearly that there is no way to activate the lightning a second time. If you forcefully activate it, you will also be devoured by the backlash. The consequences will be unimaginable. Longao was not a fool. Before he had full confidence, he would definitely not casually restart the power of lightning. If that was the case, it would be a little troublesome to fight the 5 Lords of the Abyss alone and kill them. Moreover, at this moment, a black-clothed man appeared out of nowhere. Heavenly Tao? God Diviner? Longao didn't immediately go out to fight the 5 of them. He was thinking about the black-clothed man. To be able to make the 5 of them act so respectfully and fearfully, the black-clothed man's strength was obvious. How many people in the martial heaven continent could do this? Longao had a rough guess. The black-clothed man's identity was very likely the Heavenly Tao or the God Diviner. However, this was just a guess. After all, the martial heaven continent was filled with experts. Who knew if there were other hidden experts? Longao was even more certain that if the black-clothed man really was the God Diviner or the Heavenly Tao, then as long as the 2 of them didn't want to reveal their identities, he really wouldn't be able to discover them. After all, the Heavenly Tao and the God Diviner's strength was obvious. They were the peak experts of the martial heaven continent. If the black-clothed man really was the Heavenly Tao and the God Diviner, then this matter was a bit strange. Longao couldn't figure out why the Heavenly Tao and the God Diviner would target him. After all, if the God Diviner wanted to kill him, there was no need for him to go through so much trouble. As for the Heavenly Tao, with his current status and identity, why would the Heavenly Tao stoop to him? Furthermore, if the black-clothed man really was the Heavenly Tao or the God Diviner, then there was even less need for them to do this. With their strength, why would they need to be so secretive? Longao was certain that the black-clothed man wasn't the heavenly Tao or the god diviner. Furthermore, Longao was certain that the black-clothed man didn't want to kill him. Otherwise, with the black-clothed man's terrifying power, he could kill him in a matter of minutes. Why would he go through so much trouble? Just who was the black-clothed man? He didn't continue worrying about the black-clothed man. Right now, his top priority was to think of a way to get rid of the 5 Abyss Lords. Chapter 1156. It was difficult to defeat the 5 Lords of the Abyss with strength alone. Longao was well aware of the gap between the Great Emperor realm and the demigod realm. His soul transformed into a demigod soul, and his spiritual power began to transform into divine power. Inside the Forbidden Abyss, the 5 Lords of the Abyss were very depressed because Black Wolf could still escape under such circumstances. If the man in black blamed them, they would have to bear the consequences. However, the 5 of them were very confident that Black Wolf had not left the Forbidden Abyss. Black Wolf hasn't left. What should we do now? Stay here. I don't believe that Black Wolf can leave the Forbidden Abyss. The 5 of them sneered. Even if their cultivation levels were forcefully lowered, the 5 of them were still full of confidence. Even if it was a one-on-one battle, they still did not put Heilang in their eyes, let alone 5 against 1. The 5 of them did not leave the place and just waited. One day later, the 5 of them finally could not wait any longer and went to other places to look for Black Wolf's traces. As for leaving the Forbidden Abyss, even the 5 Lords of the Abyss did not know how to leave, let alone Longao. The 5 of them knew very well that since the man in black had asked them to deal with Black Wolf, they believed that the man in black would not let them leave before the mission was completed. It would be a lie to say that they were not angry. They did not dare to say anything. No matter what, the man in black's strength was there for all to see. The 5 of them couldn't figure it out. Since the black-clothed man was so powerful and could enter and leave the Forbidden Abyss as he wished, why didn't he do it himself? It should be known that with the black-clothed man's strength, killing Heilang would be a matter of minutes. As soon as the 5 of them left, Longao's figure appeared. Looking coldly at the 5 of them gradually disappearing, Longao thought for a while but could not come up with a better idea in the end. It seemed that he could only take one step at a time. "Brother Long, are you really going to the center?" He nodded. Longao was aware of Bai Ling's worries. Just 2 hours ago, Xiling suddenly told Longao that the aura in the center of the Forbidden Abyss was very wild and violent, and there were some strange movements. Because of this, Longao decided to go to the center to take a look. It wasn't that Longao wasn't afraid of danger, but he understood that danger and opportunity coexisted. If one was afraid of danger, how could there be opportunities? "Bai Ling, I'm fine. Brother Long, you have to be careful." "Yes." Longao didn't continue to stay either. He left in a different direction and soon disappeared without a trace. As soon as Longao left, Long Batian appeared. From beginning to end, neither Longao nor the 5 Abyss Masters knew the true identity of the man in black. "Even the Great Path and I can't enter the Forbidden Abyss. Longao, whether or not you can enter depends on your luck." As for the old ancestors' words and identity, Longao still didn't know. Longao hurried to the center of the Forbidden Abyss as fast as he could. The 5 of them and Longao went in different directions. Unless they changed directions, it would be very difficult for them to meet. At the center of the Forbidden Abyss, there was a huge round plate that was as smooth as paper. It was completely black and transparent, and it emitted wisps of black light. It looked very strange. Longao came to the huge round plate. Before he even got close, he could already feel how terrifying the aura emitted from the huge round plate was. "Xiling, can you sense what's inside the huge round plate?" According to Long Fu and Xiling, there was a great opportunity inside the huge round plate. If he didn't fear danger and entered, he could obtain this opportunity as long as he didn't die. The huge round plate was a moment of life and death. "Longao, I can't sense it, but don't be too optimistic. Even if you want to enter, you'll have to open the round plate. Long Fu and I have already sensed it. Let alone ordinary people, Even the great path might not be able to open the round plate. Hearing Xiling's words, Longao jumped in fright. Longao was very clear about what the heavenly Tao meant. As the #1 expert of the martial heaven continent, and a martial artist who had truly stepped onto the peak of the martial path, the great path's strength was obvious. Longao found it hard to imagine that if even the great path couldn't open the round plate, then who in the martial heaven continent could? If he had known this, he wouldn't have come. At this moment, Longao was helpless to the extreme. He hadn't thought that this would be the case. Since this was the case, wouldn't he have nothing to do? As if he could guess what Longao was thinking, Xiling suddenly said, "I have a way for you to open the round plate." What way? Longao couldn't wait. In fact, he should have thought of this. If Xiling didn't have 100% confidence in opening the round plate, why would he bring him here? "Sister, let's not do this. If we were at our peak, we might have a 99% chance. But now, we don't even have a 20% chance. If we forcefully open the round plate, not only you and me, but even Brother Long will." Although Bai Ling did not finish her sentence, the meaning of her words was very clear. Longao didn't say anything. Bai Ling had said it very clearly. With Xiling and Bai Ling's current strength, if they wanted to open the round plate, they only had a 20% chance. He knew what this meant. "Sister, how could I not know what you're talking about? But what is inside the round plate to you, me, and even Long Fu? I'm sure you know better than me. This is our only chance. No matter what, I'm not willing to give it up." Xiling, Bai Ling, and Long Fu had appeared at the same time. Longao wasn't an idiot. He naturally understood what Xiling meant. It would be of great help to the three of them. What was the meaning of this? "Master, what Xiling said is correct. There is something inside the round plate that can help us. This is our only chance. In the entire martial heaven continent, only this place has such a thing. Although it's dangerous, I hope Master can help us." Helping the three of them was no problem at all. However, Longao felt very uncomfortable in his heart, because he had already guessed Long Fu's general meaning. Why would Long Fu bring him to the slaughter abyss for no reason? Could it be that it was really just for his own cultivation and experience? "Master, to tell you the truth, the reason I brought you to the massacre abyss this time, aside from wanting to help you increase your strength, is because of an even more important matter. I discussed it with Violet Spirit, and that is because of the item in the disc." Just as expected, Long Fu and Xiling admitted it personally. Longao's discomfort lessened a bit. However, being schemed against like this, he was just like a chess piece. "P.S. I've rested for a few days. Other than sorting out the plot, I've also rested a bit. Tomorrow's explosion will start at dawn. Brothers who can wait, see you tonight." Chapter 1157. Looking at Longao's expression, Long Fu and Xiling could already guess what Longao was thinking. Long Fu and Xiling looked at each other and saw a trace of helplessness in each other's eyes. "Longao." He waved his hand. Without giving Xiling a chance to continue, Longao said, "I don't care what you mean, I don't want there to be a next time." Longao's voice was obviously cold. "Don't think that you can control other people's lives just because you're strong. I'm not a chess piece." Xiling and Long Fu didn't say anything. They could clearly feel the coldness in Longao's voice. "Bai Ling, tell me, what should I do to open the giant disc?" This incident made Longao extremely uncomfortable. Longao believed that this had nothing to do with Bai Ling. With Bai Ling's kindness, she definitely wouldn't interfere. He sighed deeply. "Brother Long, there's a taboo on the disc. Once you touch it, you'll be killed by the taboo if you're not careful. Bai Ling, tell me." Longao didn't want to waste any more time. No matter how displeased he was, now that things had come to this, he would definitely help Violet Spirit and Long Fu. After all, the faster Violet Spirit and Long Fu recovered, the stronger they would become. It would only be beneficial to him and not detrimental at all. Chess piece, chess piece. Without enough strength, he would always be a chess piece. In the end, he couldn't blame anyone for this. If he wanted to blame someone, he could only blame himself for not being strong enough. Looking deeply at Longao, Bai Ling said helplessly, "Brother Long, if you want to open the disc, you have to use your bloodline." His bloodline. Wait, Xiling, Long Fu, tell me what's inside the disc, and why can only my bloodline open it? Longao was no fool. Even the heavenly Tao could not open the circular taboo, let alone him. Now that the matter was laid out in front of him, it would be a lie if he said that the disc had nothing to do with him. It would require his bloodline to activate it. Regardless of whether others believed it or not, he would never believe it. "Master, now that things have come to this, we don't want to hide it any longer. Let me do it." Xiling was also somewhat helpless as she said, "Longao, I have already said before that the blood in your body is extraordinary. However, the three of us do not know what is going on with the blood in your body." Longao didn't say anything. "Long Fu and I discussed to see if your bloodline could open the disc. We were just guessing, but we didn't expect that your bloodline and the disc's taboo are almost exactly the same. Therefore, we can say that your bloodline is the only key to opening the disc." Purple Spirit's meaning, Longao more or less understood it. "I still don't understand one thing. Since only my bloodline can open the disc, how do you know that there's something in the disc that can help you?" It was inconsistent. There were too many things that Longao couldn't understand. Longao didn't have to ask about other things. After all, with his current strength, he didn't have the right to ask. However, Longao had to know about the bloodline. "Longao, to be honest, we don't have the right to touch the things in the disc. It's only the power inside that can help us." Longao didn't say anything, but he stared at Xiling and Long Fu. "Long Fu, since that's the case, tell him." Long Fu seemed to have some difficulties, but after hearing Xiling's words, he nodded and said, "Master, the disc itself is a legend. It was left behind by a supreme expert. That expert's strength far surpasses the God Diviner and the Heavenly Tao. However, that person has already fallen. Tell me." Longao calmed down, but his heart was like a raging sea. He had never imagined that there would be someone on the Martial Tian continent who could surpass the God Diviner and the Heavenly Tao. If Xiling and Long Fu hadn't said it themselves, he wouldn't have believed it even if he was beaten to death. "We can't tell you the name of that expert." "Why?" "Master, when your strength reaches a certain level, you won't need to ask any more questions. We'll naturally tell you everything. We brought you here this time not only to absorb the energy inside to recover, but also to let Master subdue the disc. The disc is the key to unlocking a race." "Race? What race?" Long Fu's words completely confused Longao. He didn't know what Long Fu meant. So what if the disc was the key to opening a race? Bloodline. Suddenly, Longao thought of his own bloodline. Long Fu and Xiling had already said that the disc could only be opened by his bloodline, and that the disc was the key to opening a race. Combining the two, anyone would be able to guess what was going on. "Long Fu, Xiling, you've already said that since things have reached this point, I'll ask what I should ask and know what I should know. As for what I shouldn't ask and what I shouldn't know, I won't ask, and I don't want to know." Hearing Longao's words, Long Fu and Xiling had already guessed some things. The two of them sighed deeply. They had already said this much. With Longao's intelligence and wisdom, they believed that he had already guessed it. If that was the case, there was no point in continuing to hide some things. "Longao, what do you want to know?" "Bloodline. I want to know the connection between my bloodline and the disc. Why can only my bloodline open the disc?" Longao didn't know why, but he had a feeling that the disc in front of him and the bloodline in his body had something to do with his background. After all, the mysterious youth in the wordless heavenly book had already told him that he was 100 reincarnation warriors. Although he still didn't believe it, now that the truth was in front of him, he had to get to the bottom of it. "Longao, we're just guessing. As for whether it's the truth, we can't be sure." Longao nodded, showing that he understood. Legend has it that there was an incomparably strong race in the world called the Lun clan. The owner of the disc was a super powerful being from the Lun clan. He was invincible in the world. Even the god diviner and heavens were like ants in front of him. Lun clan? Longao was almost certain that he had never heard of a race called the Lun clan. Hearing Xiling's words, Longao was extremely shocked. He knew how powerful the marvelous mathematician and Tian Dao were. But even so, according to Xiling, in front of the master of the disc, both the marvelous mathematician and Tian Dao were like ants. It was hard to imagine how powerful the master of the disc was. Chapter 1158. Longao didn't say anything and listened quietly. The Lun clan suddenly disappeared for some reason. Some people said that the Lun clan was sealed by heaven and earth. To this day, no one knew the reason. As for the Lun clan expert, his whereabouts are also unknown. However, he left behind a huge round plate that can open the door to the Lun clan. From there, one can enter the Lun clan and obtain the inheritance of the Lun clan to become the most powerful martial artist in the world. What did this have to do with his bloodline? Longao didn't ask or interrupt. Long Fu, who had been silent all this time, said, "Master, we have been sensing your bloodline for a long time. Although we can't be sure, we are half sure that your bloodline is from the Lun clan." F***ck. He cursed in his heart. What did Long Fu mean? That meant that he was from the Lun clan, the most powerful clan in the world. Was it possible? Was it real? Everything seemed so surreal. Longao, I know this is a little unbelievable, but it is the truth. As for whether you are from the Lun clan, we will know soon. Longao knew what Xiling was talking about. The way to test whether he was from the Lun clan was simple. He had to use his bloodline to open the round plate. If he could open it, then there was no doubt that he was from the Lun clan. If he couldn't open the round plate, then it had nothing to do with him. Longao didn't use his bloodline to open the round plate immediately because there were still many things that he didn't know. Even if his bloodline could open the disc, his identity was still a little too shocking. He had been in the Long family since he was young. Since when did he come from the Lun clan? Violet Spirit, Long Fu, if my bloodline can open the disc, does that mean that I am a reincarnator, and that my original body in my previous life was a member of the reincarnation clan? Long Fu and Xiling nodded. Longao knew that Long Fu and Xiling had no reason to lie to him. Longao, once the marvelous mathematician and the way of the heavens find out about your identity, I'm sure they won't let you go. They'll use your blood to find the reincarnation tribe. Regarding this point, Longao could also guess. Longao was very clear that apart from the four of them, no one else could know about this matter. Otherwise, there would be big trouble. Return to the clan. The most powerful race in the world. The master of the disc was the most powerful being of the Samsara clan. Even the god diviner and the heavens were like ants in front of this supreme being. At this moment, Longao was a little confused. When did he become a member of the Lun clan? Mysterious young man. You three, wait a moment. I have something to do. As if thinking of something, Longao immediately entered the space of the wordless heavenly book. This time, Longao did not hide anything, nor did he hesitate. He immediately said, "You said that I'm your 100th reincarnation, which means that you're my 100th reincarnation. Since that's the case, aren't you a member of the Lun clan?" Under normal circumstances, no matter what Longao did, the mysterious young man would not easily appear. At this moment, as soon as the words Lun clan were said, the mysterious young man's figure suddenly appeared. He seemed a little surprised. He said, "I really didn't expect that you would know about this so quickly. Longao, according to my estimation, you're the most powerful person in the Tianwu continent to know about this." Unexpectedly. Hearing the mysterious young man's words, Longao was sure that the mysterious young man also knew about the Lun clan. Was he really the mysterious young man's 100th reincarnation? Was he really a member of the Lun clan? If this matter spread out, would people choose to believe it? Longao, I'm very curious. How did you know? The disc. The disc. The mysterious young man did not know about the disc. He did not know about the disc, but he knew about the Lun clan. Looking at the confused young man, Longao was a little cautious. If the mysterious young man did not even know about the disc, it was hard to say whether what he said was true or not. As if he thought of something, the mysterious young man was a little surprised and excited. He asked, "Are you talking about the reincarnation disc? Was the disc the reincarnation disc?" Longao told the young man about the reincarnation disc's appearance and aura. After hearing it, the young man nodded his head in surprise. He could not wait to ask, "Longao, where is the reincarnation disc?" "It's outside." "Longao, I can tell you clearly now. The reincarnation disc is the most precious treasure of the Lun clan. If you can get the reincarnation disc, not only can you open the Lun clan, you can even obtain the inheritance of the Lun clan and become the patriarch of the Lun clan." After saying that, the mysterious young man continued, "The person who has the reincarnation disc and obtains the inheritance of the Lun clan will become the strongest martial artist in the world." "I see." After hearing the mysterious young man's words, if one did not want to get the reincarnation disc, inherit the inheritance of the Lun clan and become the strongest martial artist in the world, it would be a lie. Even Longao was not an exception. Longao was very clear that since he was a member of the Lun clan, it was natural for him to obtain the inheritance of the Lun clan and own the reincarnation disc. Moreover, the reincarnation disc was right in front of him. It seemed like it was his good fortune. If he missed it, even he would despise himself. "I will get the reincarnation disc. Senior, there is something I would like to know." The mysterious young man waved his hand as if he could guess what Longao wanted to ask. He said, "Very few people know about the Lun clan. If you want to know, you have to work hard and strive to reach the peak of the martial Tao as soon as possible. Otherwise, you will have to integrate the reincarnation disc and inherit the inheritance of the Lun clan." He cursed in his heart. If he could integrate the reincarnation disc, inherit the inheritance of the Lun clan and become the leader of the Lun clan, would he still need to ask you? Since the mysterious young man did not want to say more, Longao did not ask further. One day, he would find out everything. Longao still did not completely believe the mysterious young man's words. After leaving the wordless heaven book, Longao knew that the huge disc in front of him was the reincarnation disc. He believed that even Xiling and Long Fu did not know about this. Otherwise, Long Fu and Xiling would not be so calm. Longao did not tell them about the reincarnation disc. He looked at the three people in front of him and said, "I understand what you mean. After I open the disc and enter, the treasure inside will belong to me. As for the power, it will belong to you. We will each take what we need, right?" Chapter 1159. That's right. Since things had come to this point, there was no need to continue hiding it. Next, Longao first rested for a while, then he poured the blood in his body into the huge disc, which was the so-called reincarnation disc. Before the four of them could react, the huge disc suddenly exploded with a terrifying power. The power of reincarnation. Sensing this power, both Xiling and Long Fu exclaimed in unison. Unbelievable. The power of reincarnation was only a legend. Xiling and Long Fu had never thought that one day, they would be able to sense the so-called power of reincarnation. Although he did not know what the power of reincarnation was, Longao could guess that the so-called power of reincarnation must have come from the power left behind by the super-expert of the reincarnation clan. Xiling, Bai Ling, and Long Fu did not dare to stay any longer. It turned out that Longao did not know that the three weapon spirits did not know that the power of reincarnation was the nemesis of all weapon spirits. If the three weapon spirits did not leave in time, only death would await them. Before Longao could figure out what was going on, the power of reincarnation had already enveloped him. Swoosh! Longao's body instantly disappeared, and the huge disc returned to normal. Time trickled by. After an unknown period of time, a black shadow flashed, and Long Batian appeared in front of the huge disc. Looking at the huge disc, Long Batian muttered to himself, "The reincarnation clan, even the clairvoyant and Tian Dao do not know. Longao, I hope you can find the reincarnation clan." At this point, Long Batian stopped abruptly, as if he wanted to say something. If Longao was here and heard the old ancestor's words, who knew what he would think? After all, Why did the old ancestor know about the reincarnation clan, but Tian Dao and the clairvoyant did not? Sky Martial Continent. The establishment of the Dragon Sect's branch did not cause any commotion, because in the vast Sky Martial Continent, the establishment of a small sect would not even be noticed by a third-rate force, let alone a tripod. He had to admit that Long Ying and Dugu Bai did indeed have the ability to lead. The two of them were very clear about the Martial Heaven Continent situation. If the Long family learned that the branch came from the Dragon Sect, they would definitely come to deal with them, regardless of whether or not the Long family knew that Longao was dead. That was indeed the case. After discussing, Long Ying and Dugu Bai decided that the sect had to keep a low profile and develop quickly underground. The current Dragon Sect branch was no longer what it used to be. The branch of the Dragon Sect not only had 500 Divine Dragon Corpse slaves, but also thousands of Divine Path inheritances. Once the Divine Path inheritances were refined, the Dragon Sect and the branch would have thousands of Divine Path warriors. Thousands of Supreme Dao warriors. Thousands of mystical Dragon Corpse slaves. With such strength, if all of them were in place, the Dragon Sect would be able to ignore everything, unless it was the tripod of 10 directions or some powerful second-rate forces. In the main hall of the Dragon Sect branch. Master, everything has been settled. What should we do next? In the Sky Martial Continent, there were countless sects. Every day, who knew how many sects were disappearing and how many sects were being built? Our sect's development speed is still a bit slow. If we are not afraid of the Long family knowing about the Divine Dragon Corpse slaves, I believe our sect's development speed will increase by 100 times. Nodding his head, Dugu Bai said helplessly, before Brother Long left, he repeatedly reminded us that the Divine Dragon Corpse slaves were obtained from the Dragon Tomb. If the Long family knew about it, not only would our development speed increase, I believe we would immediately disappear from the continent. Fearing the Long family, the Divine Dragon Corpse slaves could not be touched. Brother Dugu, I have already thought about this. If we want to develop quickly, we must use the Divine Dragon Corpse slaves. However, we have to be extremely careful. Long family must not know about this. Dugu Bai seemed to want to say something, but he held back. According to the sect's current situation, using the Divine Dragon Corpse slaves was the best way. Martial Artists Alliance, inside the Aquamoon Paradise. Ever since receiving the inheritance of the Dark World, Yu Yin had stayed in the Aquamoon Paradise to cultivate. Furthermore, she had received the full support of the Martial Artists Alliance. She wanted to break through to the Supreme Divine Path, or even the Nirvana realm in the shortest time possible. Inside the Aquamoon Paradise, Yu Yin sat quietly by herself. Her entire body was enveloped by light. From the beginning to the end, Yu Yin did not know about Longao's death. Otherwise, would Yu Yin continue to cultivate in the Aquamoon Paradise? Tong Tiendi and Hades had completely sealed off the news of Longao's death. No matter who it was, if they leaked it to Yu Yin, they would be killed without mercy. Because of this, no one in the Martial Artists Alliance dared to leak the news to Yu Yin. There were two women in Longao's heart. One was Yu Yin, and the other was Aoshue. Yu Yin was cultivating to break through to the Supreme Divine Path. As for Aoshue, she was sitting on a giant lotus. She was pregnant, but her belly was not very big. Under normal circumstances, a 7-month pregnant belly would be very big. However, Aoshue's belly was almost the same as a normal person's. Regarding this point, Aoshue was also helpless. Not to mention her, even her mother and the other members of the Phoenix clan didn't know what was going on. This kind of thing, whether it was humans or the Phoenix clan, seemed to have never happened before. Aoshue opened her eyes and gently touched her belly. She sighed deeply and said to herself, "Little one, be good." At this moment, Aoshue's mother, Liu Ying, walked in. She looked at her daughter and asked with a smile, "Aoshue, how do you feel today?" Aoshue smiled and said, "Mother, what do you think is going on with my belly?" "I don't know, but we've already thought of a way to see what's going on. Aoshue, we think that your problem is probably related to your body constitution. So, don't worry, we'll wait and see." Since things had already developed to this point, What else could they do other than wait? Aoshue, I've noticed something. Ever since you became pregnant, your cultivation speed seems to have increased a lot. How do you feel? Aoshue nodded and said, Yes, mother, I don't know what's going on either. It seems that my cultivation speed has increased because of the child. Aoshue. Liu Ying did not continue speaking. Instead, she said, Aoshue, you just have to do two things. Cultivate and take care of the child. As for you and Longao, I'll take care of it for you. You don't have to worry. Aoshue was a little sad at the mention of Longao. Ever since she came to the Phoenix tribe, there had been no news about Longao. However, she had no choice. Now that she was pregnant, she could not be impulsive. Even if she did not think for herself, she had to think for the child. Chapter 1160. In the center of the Forbidden Abyss, a gigantic circular plate. Within a mysterious space, Longao was brought into the mysterious space by the power of reincarnation. Observing his surroundings, the entire space wasn't too big, just like a room. Bloodline activation disc. Longao had only observed it for less than 3 minutes when the bloodline within his body started rumbling. Rumble, 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 rumble. The bloodline within Longao's body was like boiling water. His face changed. Longao did not know what was going on, but he did not dare to be careless. Immediately, he channeled the power within his body and started suppressing the rumbling bloodline. The bloodline within Longao's body triggered the energy ripples within the mysterious space. The next moment, before Longao could react, endless amounts of blood appeared out of nowhere and enveloped Longao. Longao was completely dumbfounded. At this moment, he could not move at all. Unknowingly, Longao's eyes had already closed slowly. He was completely oblivious to everything that was happening in the outside world. At this moment, the mysterious young man suddenly appeared. He looked exactly like Longao. This was the mysterious young man from the wordless heavenly book. Looking at Longao, who was already enveloped in blood, the mysterious young man's lips curled into a meaningful smile. He muttered to himself, after 100 reincarnations, I, the reincarnation clan, can finally reappear in the mortal world. In the mysterious space, other than blood, there was only blood. Longao knew nothing about everything that was happening in the mysterious space. 1 year later, the 5 Lords of the Abyss had already left the Forbidden Abyss. Even though the man in black did not say it explicitly, the 5 of them had already guessed that Black Wolf had fallen within the Forbidden Abyss. They were pleasantly surprised. Leaving the Forbidden Abyss, they returned to the city. The 5 of them did not reveal anything about the Black Wolf and the Forbidden Abyss. Within the city, everything returned to normal. The 5 Lords of the Abyss were still the rulers of the Massacre Abyss. The man in black did not show his face either. After a year of settling down, the rise of Black Wolf had already sunk into the depths of the ocean. A whole year. Longao had been in the mysterious Longao for an entire year. During this time, Longao's eyes were tightly closed. His entire body was covered in blood, and it was unknown whether he was alive or dead. Inside the mysterious space. Yes. With a muffled groan, Longao finally made his first sound after a year. At this time, the surrounding blood began to slowly recede. In the blink of an eye, all the blood had disappeared without a trace. Opening his eyes, Longao looked at his surroundings in a daze. A year. Longao was a little surprised, because he never thought that a whole year would pass in the blink of an eye while he was enveloped in blood. From beginning to end, he had no idea what had happened. Demigod. 9th tier demigod. He sensed that his soul had already transformed. Although it had not truly transformed into a divine soul, it had already transformed by 99%. It was only one step away from completely transforming into a divine soul. Not only his soul, but even the spiritual energy in his body had also transformed into divine power. 99% divine power was only one step away from completely transforming into a divine power of 100%. 99% divine soul, plus 99% divine power, what did that mean? He found it hard to believe, but the truth was right in front of him. Longao found it hard to believe that he had only slept. Although this sleep was a little long, this cultivation speed was a little too fast. One should know that the demigod realm was divided into 9 levels, from lowest to highest: first heaven demigod, second heaven demigod, third heaven demigod, fourth heaven demigod, fifth heaven demigod, sixth heaven demigod, seventh heaven demigod, eighth heaven demigod, and ninth heaven demigod. According to Longao's calculations, even if he could break through from the titled Great Emperor realm to the demigod realm in the shortest time possible, he would be thankful if he could reach the first heaven demigod realm. If news of him breaking through from the titled Great Emperor realm to the ninth heaven demigod realm spread, no one would believe it. This kind of cultivation speed was really a little inconceivable. Longao was extremely surprised. Although he did not know what the process was like, being able to break through to the ninth heaven demigod realm was something to be excited about. Once he broke through to the ninth heaven demigod realm, he was only one step away from officially breaking through to the supreme Tao realm. Just one step away. After being surprised for dozens of minutes, Longao did not continue to dwell on the realm. This was because he was still in the reincarnation disk. How to subdue the reincarnation disk and how to leave the reincarnation disk were still the biggest problems. Longao tried to communicate with Xiling, Bai Ling, and Long Fu. After all, he knew nothing about the reincarnation disk, let alone how to leave it. If he did not try, he would not know. If he tried, he would be shocked. Longao had already guessed this result. Once he entered the reincarnation disk, no one would be able to sense it. It seemed like he still had to rely on himself. Longao did not waste any time. He had already wasted a year and could not afford to waste any more time. In the remaining time, Longao began to observe the mysterious space around him. Use the bloodline. Thank you, Senior. Although he did not see the person in person, Longao could tell who the other party was from the voice. It was the mysterious youth from the wordless heaven book space, who looked exactly like him. With the mysterious young man's reminder, Longao's heart had slowly begun to believe the mysterious young man's words. If the mysterious young man was really his 100th reincarnation and also came from the reincarnation clan, then everything would make sense. Longao did not hesitate at all. He immediately released his bloodline and tried to communicate with the reincarnation disk. With the mysterious youth's reminder, Longao's bloodline had just communicated with the mysterious space around him. In the next second, Longao's face was filled with joy. This was because he could clearly feel that he had communicated with the reincarnation disk. The whole process took less than an hour. Longao had already appeared outside the giant disk. However, at this moment, the giant disk had already disappeared. Without a doubt, the giant disk had been subdued by Longao's bloodline and was quietly staying in his dantian. After successfully subduing the reincarnation disk, Longao had already begun to believe that he came from the reincarnation clan. Otherwise, how could his bloodline have subdued the reincarnation disk so easily? According to Long Fu and Xiling, the reincarnation disk was extremely powerful. Even Tian Dao and the clairvoyant might not be able to open the reincarnation disk, let alone subdue it. Longao was almost certain that in order to subdue the reincarnation disk, one had to come from the reincarnation clan. Otherwise, it was almost impossible to open and subdue the reincarnation disk by force. Longao, are you really from the reincarnation clan? Xiling, Bai Ling, and Long Fu's figures appeared at the same time. The three of them were shocked. After all, everything before was just speculation. Chapter 1161. He nodded. The truth was right in front of them, so Longao didn't hide it anymore. Seeing Longao nod, the three of them sighed. Before this, the three of them had only guessed that Longao's bloodline was related to the reincarnation tribe. That was why Long Fu brought Longao into the Forbidden Abyss to verify their guesses. The three of them knew clearly what it meant if Longao came from the reincarnation tribe. Legend had it that the reincarnation tribe was the most powerful tribe in the world. Long Fu, Xiling, I've successfully absorbed the giant disc. What should I do now? Longao knew his limits. Even if he came from the reincarnation tribe, his strength was still there, and his bloodline was still sealed. It was impossible for him to merge with the reincarnation disk. Master, you can't let anyone know about the disk and the reincarnation tribe. Xiling continued, Longao, we'll discuss how to let you refine the disk as soon as possible. Once you merge with it, I believe you'll be able to activate the reincarnation tribe and obtain their inheritance. He nodded. As for what Long Fu and Xiling had said, Longao knew very well that he couldn't let anyone know about it. Otherwise, trouble would come endlessly. As for Xiling, Bai Ling, and Long Fu, although they didn't say much, Longao knew that Xiling and Long Fu must be disappointed and unwilling. This time, Long Fu and Xiling had discussed bringing him into the Forbidden Abyss in order to obtain the reincarnation power and recover their original strength. But the result? Not only did Long Fu and Xiling not obtain the reincarnation power, but they were also almost killed by it. Not to mention the two of them, even if it was someone else, they wouldn't be willing to accept it. Long Fu and Xiling didn't say much, and Longao didn't ask either. That was the end of the matter. From the beginning to the end, Longao still felt a little uncomfortable in his heart. However, to him, this was a matter of endless opportunities. Not only did he successfully break through from a titled Great Emperor to a Ninth Heaven demigod, but he was even taken into the reincarnation disk. Just as Long Fu and Xiling had said, as long as he could merge with the reincarnation disk, not only would he be able to activate the reincarnation clan, but he would also be able to obtain the inheritance of the reincarnation clan. When that time came, he would be able to become the most powerful person in the world. The Tao of the Heavens and the Oracle were like ants in front of the owner of the Wheel of Samsara. It was easy to imagine how terrifying the owner of the Wheel of Samsara was. Longao did not continue to dwell on this issue. He prepared to leave the Forbidden Abyss first. This time, Longao didn't return to the city because he had already decided to leave the Slaughter Abyss and return to the Dragon Sect's branch. Leaving the Massacre Abyss did not mean that Longao had chosen to give up on the Massacre Abyss, nor did it mean that he had chosen to give up on revenge. Longao's intention was actually very simple. With his own strength, wanting to contend against the power of the 5 Lords of the Abyss was like an egg hitting a rock. That was exactly the case. Longao had already thought about it. This time when he returned to the Dragon Sect, he would mobilize 200 Divine Dragon Corps slaves. In addition to dealing with the 5 Lords of the Abyss, the 200 Divine Dragon Corps slaves would also help him dominate the Massacre Abyss. Just like that, Longao left the Massacre Abyss. From the beginning to the end, the 5 Lords of the Abyss did not know that Longao had not died. In their opinion, Longao had already died in the Forbidden Abyss, and it was impossible for him to continue to return to the city. They had already eliminated the source of trouble. Following the Black Passage, Longao walked for a full hour before he successfully left the Massacre Abyss. During this time, he encountered 2 people who entered the Massacre Abyss, but Longao avoided them both. Dragon Sect. Outside the Dragon Peak. The Sky Sun Sect was a 4th-rate force that started out as bandits. There were 2 leaders in total. The first leader, Sky Sun, was a titled Great Emperor Martial Artist, while the second leader, Maro, was a gold-grade Great Emperor Martial Artist. There were thousands of people in the Sky Sun Sect, and their overall strength was not bad. The Sky Sun Sect had just been established. Of course, they wanted to rise quickly, and the fastest way was to find a sect to test their strength and create a stir. The first target that the Sky Sun Sect found was the branch of the Dragon Sect. You are the master of the Dragon Sect, Long Ying? Yes, I am. May I know why the 2 of you have come to the Dragon Sect? The master of the Dragon Sect, Long Ying, Deputy Master Dugu Bai, and the thousands of people led by Longao all looked coldly at the so-called Sky Sun Sect in front of them. The 2 of them could not understand why a small 4th-rate force dared to come and cause trouble. They were simply courting death. On the surface, the Dragon Sect looked like a newly established 4th-rate force. However, there were 500 Divine Dragon Corps slaves in the Dragon Sect. What did this mean? Not to mention a 4th-rate force, even a 3rd-rate or 2nd-rate force would not dare to provoke the Dragon Sect. After all, 500 Divine Dragon Corps slaves were not to be trifled with. However, At this moment, Long Ying and Dugu Bai were more or less solemn. The reason was simple. Even if the dragon sect had 500 divine dragon corpse slaves, they would not dare to act rashly. If the Long family knew about it, the consequences would be unimaginable. The two of them knew that if they were to fight normally, even if they could defeat the Sky Sun sect, both sides would suffer great losses. Moreover, the Sky Sun sect's first leader, Sky Sun, and second leader, Marrow, were a titled Great Emperor martial artist and a gold-grade Great Emperor martial artist. In the entire dragon sect, other than the 500 divine dragon corpse slaves, who else could fight against two great emperors? Long Ying had successfully broken through to the yellow-grade Great Emperor martial artist, while Dugu Bai had just broken through to the crimson-grade Great Emperor martial artist. Could they fight them head-on? Ha ha ha, are you afraid? Waving his hand to stop his second brother from speaking, the Heavenly Sun sect put on a fake smile and said, Long Ying, my purpose for coming here is very simple. As long as the entire dragon sect submits to my Heavenly Sun sect from now on, I can guarantee that you will live a good life. With just the two of you. Long Ying, don't be so shameless. My big brother subduing you is giving you a lot of face. Before Long Ying could speak, Sky Sun said again, Long Ying, as the saying goes, a wise man submits to circumstances. Even if the dragon sect does not submit to my Sky Sun sect, you will submit to other sects in the future. Instead of that, why don't you and I work together? When the time comes, we will grow stronger together. I believe that one day, we will become a second-rate force. In Sky Sun and second leader's eyes, the dragon sect was nothing in their eyes. Otherwise, they would not have brought the Sky Sun sect here. Before coming, Sky Sun had already decided that if the dragon sect chose to submit, then everything would be fine. If the dragon sect did not know what was good for them, they would be killed on the spot. A bunch of trash. Seeing that the other party was unwilling to submit, Sky Sun's face became colder and colder. Suddenly, Sky Sun waved his hand, and thousands of people behind him swarmed forward. Their killing intent shook the sky, but bandits were still bandits. Their overall strength was still weak. Chapter 1162. In the blink of an eye, Sky Sun sect and Dragon sect had already begun their battle. With over 2,000 people fighting, one could imagine the scene. If this were a few years ago, Dragon sect would definitely not be a match for Sky Sun sect. Even if Sky Sun sect was just a bunch of bandits. Watching the battle coldly, Sky Sun and Marrow had not expected Dragon sect to be this strong. If this were to carry on, they would definitely lose. Old 2, go, Piak. Before Marrow could strike, 2 slaps rang out. Marrow clutched at her cheeks, her face filled with fear as she stumbled back 3 steps. Her face was filled with shock. Who are you? The mysterious man who had appeared out of nowhere was none other than Longao, who had rushed back from the massacre abyss. 7th brother, you're back. Looking at the sudden appearance of Longao, both Long Ying and Dugu Bai were pleasantly surprised. Both of them were clear that Longao was a bona fide titled Great Emperor. With that, they could take down Sky Sun sect without having to use their corpse slaves. Waving his hand, both parties who were engaged in an intense battle retreated. In just a few short minutes, both Sky Sun sect and Dragon sect had lost dozens of people each. One could not help but admit that the battle was pretty intense. Who in the world are you? Sky Sun's face was as dark as it could get. For the other party to be able to slap old 2 without anyone noticing, one could imagine the other party's strength. At the very least, he was a titled Great Emperor. Since when did Dragon sect have a titled Great Emperor? Big bro, who is this trash? Trash. Hearing the other party call him trash, Sky Sun's face turned even darker. But because of the strength that the other party had just displayed, Sky Sun eventually swallowed it down. Long Ying laughed coldly and roughly recounted what had just happened in a soft voice. After listening, Longao nodded his head and gave both of them a look. You're the master of Sky Sun sect, Sky Sun? Ha ha ha. Lad, I'm Sky Sunday. And who are you? Who am I? Do you have the right to know? F***ck your father. How dare you? Before Maro could even finish her sentence, Longao's body had already disappeared from the spot. Piak piak piak. When the sound of the slap rang out, no one could even see the figure clearly. In the next second, Maro-Er's face was slapped until it looked like a pig's head. She was 3 times fatter than before. In less than a second, Longao's figure had already returned to his original position. The strength displayed by Longao had completely shocked everyone around him, including the master of the Sky Sun sect, Tian Yang. All of you, scram. From now on, no matter who you are not allowed to step within 100 miles of the Dragon sect. Otherwise, you will be killed without mercy. You. This time, the Heavenly Sun sect had already decided that no matter what happened, they had to deal with the Dragon sect. If they failed, how would the Heavenly Sun sect survive in the future? One had to know that the Sky Sun sect had just been established, and they needed to make an example out of them so that the Sky Sun sect could develop quickly. However, before Tian Yang could finish his sentence, Longao's body suddenly emitted a terrifying divine soul aura. Although it wasn't 100% divine soul aura, it was more than enough to suppress the 2 great sovereign realm experts. Moreover, the massacre territory that Longao possessed was able to suppress all other territory power. Not to mention, Longao also possessed sword chi and the aura of heaven and earth. Spiritual aura? Sensing the spiritual aura released by the other party, the Heavenly Sun sect and Mao-Er's expressions changed drastically. They immediately shouted in surprise, "Ninth Heaven Demigod." The 2 of them had never imagined that the young man who had just appeared in front of them would be a 9th Heaven demigod. It seemed that the Dragon sect wasn't as simple as it seemed. 9th Heaven demigod? Hearing the 2's fearful cries, Dugu Bai and Long Ying were a little dumbfounded. This was because even the 2 of them had not expected Longao to break through from the titled Great Emperor realm to the 9th Heaven demigod realm in such a short time. However, the 2 of them were only surprised for a short while before they regained their composure. Whether it was Dugu Bai, Long Ying, or the others in the Dragon sect, they were already used to Longao's cultivation speed and talent. Everyone knew very well what a 9th Heaven demigod represented. The difference between a titled Great Emperor and a 9th Heaven demigod was like heaven and earth. The 2 of them weren't even on the same level. Heavenly Sun sect and Maro-Er knew very well that even if the other party was only a 1st Heaven demigod, the 2 of them wouldn't be a match for him, let alone a 9th Heaven demigod. This was the difference between a Great Emperor realm martial artist and a demigod realm martial artist. Brother, is there some misunderstanding between us? After sensing the spiritual aura released by the other party and ascertaining the other party's strength, the 2 of them had a 180-degree change in attitude. They were as respectful as they could be. "You're my brother?" Longao felt like laughing out loud. He had seen shameless people before, but he had never seen such shameless people. The shamelessness of the Sky Sun sect's people was almost to the extreme. They could change their attitude so quickly. It was like a sudden change in the wind and clouds. "Heavenly Sun, I gave you a chance just now to get lost, but you didn't. Now, even if you want to get lost, it's impossible." Hearing this, Heavenly Sun's expression changed abruptly. He wasn't a fool. Of course, he could hear the murderous intent in the other party's words. If the young man hadn't appeared, he had full confidence that he could slaughter the entire Dragon sect within an hour. No matter what, he and his second brother's strength was there for all to see. No one in the Dragon sect was a match for them. Not daring to stay any longer, Heavenly Sun gave Mao-Er a look. The 2 of them didn't even care about the others and prepared to leave first. As the saying goes, where there's life, there's hope. As long as they could escape successfully, it wouldn't be too late to slowly deal with the Dragon sect in the future. However, would Longao let the 2 of them leave? Not to mention that Longao's cultivation had successfully broken through to the 9th Heaven demigod realm. Even if he hadn't broken through, the 2 of them wouldn't have been able to escape successfully. Seeing that the 1st and 2nd heads were preparing to leave, the Sky Sun sect's people were a little dumbfounded. They had already guessed the 2 heads' intentions. It would be a lie to say that they weren't angry. However, Due to the two's strength, the crowd didn't dare to voice out their anger. Longao didn't move. His spirit was quickly released along with the chi of heaven and earth. When the two of them were enveloped, their bodies were locked. With their strength, it was almost impossible for them to break the seal. It was like a fool's dream. "Brother, we were wrong. We were wrong. Please, let us go." Mao was extremely frightened. Bandits like them were most afraid of death. The other party's strength was already in front of them. Not to mention Mao, not to mention the first head, even the two of them wouldn't be able to withstand a single blow from the other party. Chapter 1163. Tianyang's body was trembling out of fear. The strength displayed by the other party was too strong. A ninth heaven demigod was a high and mighty existence in their eyes. At this moment, the two of them were extremely depressed. If they had known that the dragon sect had a ninth heaven demigod, they wouldn't have come looking for trouble even if they were beaten to death. They were simply courting death. Now that things had come to this point, neither Tianyang nor Mao continued to resist. The two of them were smart people. With the other party's strength, killing them would be a piece of cake. Even if they resisted, it would be futile. "Seventh brother. Big brother, leave this to me." They nodded. Although Long Ying was the master of the dragon sect, everyone knew that the real boss of the dragon sect was Longao. "Brother. If you dare to call me brother again, I'll cut off your tongue." Mao was shocked when she heard this. She endured the pain on her face and didn't dare to say another word. "Who are you?" "Longao." Tianyang's face changed when he heard the two words Longao. It was as if he had heard of Longao before. Looking at the other party's expression, Longao was a little surprised. He asked, "You know me? Longao, didn't you die in the Long family?" Tianyang was almost certain that the Longao in front of him was the Longao of the Long family. Because of this, Tianyang knew that he had provoked someone he shouldn't have. A person who dared to go against a superpower. It was obvious what kind of person the other party was. It seemed that his reputation was really big. "Longao, since you're not dead and have established the dragon sect, you'll definitely die if the Long family finds out. Let me go, and I won't leak this matter." If the other party didn't know about him, Longao might not have wanted to kill him. However, just as Tianyang had said, once the Long family found out that he was still alive and had established another dragon sect, the Long family would definitely not let him off. Whether it was for himself or for the entire dragon sect, Longao would not let this matter leak out. At the very least, not now. "Longao." He waved his hand. Impatience was written all over Longao's face. Even before he arrived, his terrifying aura was already pressing down fiercely. Longao's cultivation had successfully broken through to the ninth heaven half-god realm. Against two puny great emperors, Longao didn't even have to move. Just his sword chi alone was enough to kill the two of them. Under the suppression of his aura, the two of them were unable to move at all. Sword chi crisscrossed, instantly killing the two. In the blink of an eye, the two had already fallen. "Seventh brother, where are the remaining people from the Sky Sun sect?" Looking at the thousands of people in front of him, Longao's face grew colder and colder, and the killing intent on his body grew stronger. Could it be that seventh brother wanted to slaughter the entire Sky Sun sect? Feeling the powerful killing intent from Longao, Dugu Bai and Long Ying had already guessed what Longao wanted to do. "Brother Long, Brother Dugu, brother, if you cut the grass without removing the roots, it will grow again. The fact that I'm still alive must not be leaked out. Long family must not know about it. Otherwise, we will all be in trouble." Dugu Bai seemed to want to say something, but he was stopped by Long Ying. Long Ying shook his head. His meaning was clear. Dugu Bai sighed deeply. He didn't continue speaking, and Dugu Bai and Long Ying took 3 steps back. "My lord, please let us go. My lord, we're willing to join the dragon sect." The first and second heads were already dead. The remaining people naturally weren't willing to die. Whether they left or joined the dragon sect, as long as they could survive, they were willing to be tortoises. This was what they were. Longao didn't have the slightest bit of mercy. Because being merciful to the enemy was the greatest cruelty to oneself. Not to mention, his identity had already been exposed. Once this matter was leaked out, not only the Long family, but many people would come looking for trouble with him. The dragon sect had just gotten better. If it was exposed now, the consequences would be unimaginable. That was the case. Longao's face turned cold. His killing intent condensed into a substance, and the god-slaying sword appeared in his right hand. His cultivation had broken through to the demigod level 9, and his understanding of the sword Dao had reached another level. With a casual swing of his sword, 100 feet long sword chi shot out like a shooting star. It was too fast. Before Dugu Bai and the others could react, the sword chi had already swallowed up thousands of people. That's right. A single sword swallowed up thousands of people. A single sword to kill thousands of people. Even a demigod level 9 could do that. The sword chi disappeared, and so did the thousands of people. Everyone in the dragon sect, including the Master Longying and the Vice Master Dugu Bai, were dumbfounded. They looked coldly at the scene that had just happened. What had just happened? Was it real? Seventh brother, your strength. How could Longao not know the meaning of his big brother's question? He smiled and said, "Let's clean up first. We'll talk about it when we get back." Nodding, Longying handed over the matter. Then, Longao and Dugu Bai returned to the dragon sect's main hall. Inside the main hall, seventh brother, why did you suddenly come back? Longao didn't tell Longying about the massacre abyss. It wasn't that he didn't trust Longying and Dugu Bai. It was just that there were some things that wouldn't benefit them from knowing. What should be hidden had to be hidden. Big brother, I came back after finishing some things. I'll leave later, and I'll take 200 divine dragon corpse slaves with me. Seventh brother, you have to be careful. Long family can't know about this. Longao was also clear about his big brother's worries. Big brother, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. After thinking about it, Longao didn't want to continue talking about this issue. Instead, he said, Big brother Dugu, this time, the Sky Sun sect came looking for trouble. I believe that such things will continue to happen in the future. If we only rely on the divine dragon corpse slaves, our dragon sect's development will be greatly limited. Longao thought about many things when the Sky Sun sect suddenly came looking for trouble. Although the dragon sect had 500 divine dragon corpse slaves, they could only look at them and not use them. After all, the Long family couldn't know about the 500 divine dragon corpse slaves. This way, even if it was just a fourth-rate force, they could casually come looking for trouble with the dragon sect. He could rush back once, twice, or even 3 or 4 times. But could he rush back every time? It was always better to be safe than sorry. If he didn't rush back in time, there would only be 2 outcomes for the dragon sect. First, the dragon sect would use the power of the divine dragon corpse slaves and expose the 500 divine dragon corpse slaves. If the Long family knew about it, the dragon sect would be able to reach its peak. Second, Longao would suffer heavy losses and protect the secret of the 500 divine dragon corpse slaves. Chapter 1164. Longao didn't want to see either of the 2 outcomes. Because of this, Longao knew that he had to settle this matter before he left. Otherwise, the dragon sect would face problems sooner or later. Following that, Longao roughly recounted his thoughts in full detail. After listening, Longying and Dugu Bai both nodded. Knowing was one thing, but what should they do? The 2 of them had no idea. Seventh brother, this is the dragon sect's problem. If we don't want to use the divine dragon corpse slaves, there's only one way, and that is to have a super expert to guard the sect. Longying nodded. Longao had also thought of the method his big brother mentioned. 500 divine dragon corpse slaves could only be used when the dragon sect grew stronger in the future. Otherwise, 500 divine dragon corpse slaves would be nothing more than decorations. Finding a super expert to guard the sect sounded simple, but it was extremely difficult to do. Without saying anything else, Longao got up and left. Dugu Bai and Long Ying looked at each other and saw a trace of helplessness in each other's eyes. Master, about this. Brother Dugu, I know what you mean. Master, if that's the case, then I'll get straight to the point. Dugu Bai's face was filled with worry. He sighed and said, I believe Master has already sensed Brother Long's killing intent. I'm not against eliminating the root of the problem, but I'm afraid that Brother Long will become a killing tool if this continues. Dugu Bai didn't continue after saying this, but the meaning in his words was clear. Long Ying also sighed deeply. Just like what Dugu Bai had said earlier, he had also felt the killing intent from his seventh brother. If this continued, he would indeed be able to reach the peak of his strength. Long Ying naturally didn't want anything to happen to seventh brother, especially not to become a killing tool. Brother Dugu, do you have a way? Master, Brother Long's killing intent is already very strong. There's only one way now, and that is to let Brother Long cultivate. But Brother Long will definitely not believe our words, so we can only ask grandfather to come. The grandfather that Dugu Bai spoke of was Longao and Long Ying's grandfather, the so-called Longao. Longao sighed deeply again. Thinking that seventh brother might have gone astray, Long Ying had a deep worry. He left the lobby. Longao stood alone at the peak of the barren mountain as the cold wind blew past. Dusk slowly passed, and night quietly fell. Longao did not rush over immediately. He stood there quietly, thinking about how he could help the dragon sect. As long as the matter of the dragon sect was not resolved, then he would not be able to leave the dragon sect. In this case, the matter of the massacre abyss must continue to be delayed. Brother Long, seeing Bai Ling suddenly appear beside him, Longao smiled. Longao had always been unwilling to face his feelings for Bai Ling. He had already thought about this matter. He would talk about the matter between himself and Bai Ling in the future. After all, now was not the time. Longao, why don't you focus on increasing Long Ying's and Dugu Bai's strength instead of looking for experts to guard the dragon sect? Hearing Xiling's words, Longao's heart skipped a beat. Xiling, I believe you have sensed Brother Dugu and my brother's strength. It's not easy to increase their strength in a short period of time. Longao knew the consequences of pulling up seedlings to help them grow. The path of cultivation itself was against the heavens. Once one forcefully increased their strength, although there was no harm in a short period of time, the consequences would be unimaginable in the long run. In the best-case scenario, one's cultivation would be crippled, and in the worst-case scenario, one would die. It was precisely because of this. Unless it was absolutely necessary, no one would be willing to forcefully increase their strength. Longao was also unwilling to forcefully increase Dugu Bai and Long Ying's strength. After all, they were his family. He would rather expose the 500 divine dragon corpse slaves than let anything happen to them. As if he could guess Longao's thoughts, Xiling smiled and said, Longao, for my sister's sake, I'll help you this time. He was overjoyed. Longao was still wondering why Xiling would say such a thing out of the blue. It turned out that he had a way to help him. Xiling, what's the way? Until now, Longao still didn't know how strong Xiling was. Whether it was Xiling or Bai Ling, they were like mysteries. Since the two didn't say anything, he didn't ask either. I've already sensed their body constitution. Within a month, I'm confident that I can raise both of them to the titled Great Emperor realm. As for whether they can break through to the demigod realm, it'll depend on their luck. Longao didn't say anything. This was because it was a little unrealistic to forcefully raise the cultivation of Big Brother Dugu and Big Brother Dugu to the titled Great Emperor realm in just 1 month. However, Longao knew that Xiling didn't have to lie to him. Xiling's method was actually very simple. According to Xiling's method, it was to borrow the two's special body constitution and forcefully inject energy into them. If it was an ordinary person, their body would explode and they would die. However, Dugu Bai and Long Ying's situation was completely different. Longao, Xiling, Bai Ling, and even Long Fu. Under the protection of the 4 of them, Dugu Bai and Long Ying's crazy absorption of energy and the backlash of increasing their strength was forcefully refined. Forcefully increasing their strength consumed a lot of spiritual energy. Because of this, Longao was very grateful to Xiling and Bai Ling. After all, the two of them didn't have the obligation to help him. 1 month later. With the help of the four of them, Dugu Bai and Long Ying's cultivation had successfully broken through to the titled Great Emperor realm. Even Dugu Bai and Long Ying were in disbelief at such a cultivation speed. The two of them knew what it meant to break through to the titled Great Emperor realm. This way, even if the dragon sect didn't use the 500 divine dragon corps slaves in the future, they believed that the fourth-rated forces wouldn't dare to cause trouble for them. Longao was very surprised that Dugu Bai and Long Ying's cultivation had successfully broken through to the titled Great Emperor realm. However, he was still very worried. The reason was simple. Even if the two of them had successfully broken through to the titled Great Emperor realm and could withstand the attack of a fourth-rated force, what if the opponent was a third-rated force or even a second-rated force? With their strength, how could they resist without using the 500 divine dragon corps slaves? It was still the same sentence. If this matter wasn't resolved, Longao wouldn't be able to leave in peace. If anything happened to the dragon sect, he wouldn't forgive himself. What should they do? Xiling's method could only help the two of them break through to the titled Great Emperor realm. If they wanted to continue breaking through, they would have to rely on the two of them. If they wanted to forcefully break through, their help alone wouldn't be of any use. Once they forcefully helped, the two of them would suffer a backlash. Not to mention Xiling and Long Fu, even God wouldn't be able to help. Chapter 1165. What should he do if he couldn't force it? Thinking about it, Longao couldn't think of a better idea. Sky Marshal Continent. 100 miles away from Dragon Peak, in an abandoned village. There were only 100 or so families in the village. Yang Jian and Wang Hao had slaughtered the entire village. With their strength, slaughtering the entire village was a matter of minutes. If this matter were to spread, they would definitely be condemned by everyone. Yang Jian and Wang Hao were both reincarnators. After 2 years of awakening, the two of them had successfully broken through to the demigod realm. They couldn't wait any longer. That year in the outer sea, the two of them had formed a life and death grudge with Longao. After 2 whole years, Yang Jian and Wang Hao finally couldn't wait any longer and left the outer sea for Sky Marshal Continent. Dragon Peak. At the peak of the mountain, Longao looked at the two people who had suddenly appeared in front of him. He couldn't understand why the two of them would appear at this time. It was really his negligence. Regarding the identity of the two people, others might not know, but how could Longao not know? Whether it was Yang Jian or Wang Hao, they were both true reincarnators. According to the strict requirements of reincarnators, to enter the path of reincarnation, one had to be a soul. In other words, only after breaking through to the demigod realm and falling would one have a chance to enter reincarnation and become a reincarnation warrior. Demigod realm of the 9th heaven. Longao was very surprised. Reincarnation warriors were indeed reincarnation warriors. They only needed to borrow the cultivation of their previous life to increase their cultivation speed. In a short 2 years, the two of them had already broken through to the demigod realm of the 9th heaven. If it was anyone else, wanting to break through to the demigod realm of the 9th heaven in a short 2 years was not an easy task. Longao, we haven't seen each other in 2 years. How have you been? You two haven't died yet. I'm really surprised. Die? Ha ha, ha ha ha. Hearing the other party's words, Yang Jian and Wang Hao suddenly laughed crazily. That year in the outer sea, the two of them had reached a point where it was either you die or I die. The two of them couldn't wait to tear Longao into pieces. If they had been in the outer seas all those years ago, the two of them might have feared Longao. But now, both of them had successfully broken through to the 9th heaven of the demigod realm. In their eyes, they did not believe that Longao could break through to the demigod realm in just 2 years. Even becoming a great emperor would be a problem. Gentlemen, I'm really curious. How did you find me? Longao was very surprised by this. In the vast Tianwu continent, trying to find a single person was like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Furthermore, he had already concealed himself well. Long family members might not be able to discover him, let alone the two of them. How did Yang Jian and Wang Hao do it? We are Samsara realm warriors. We have our ways. Since the two of them were unwilling to talk about it, Longao did not continue to ask. However, Longao was very clear that if he did not get rid of the two of them, they would always be a scourge. Let alone himself, just his family. If the two of them hid in the dark and ambushed him, who in his family would be able to resist ninth heaven demigod realm warriors? Moreover, there were two of them. Longao, are you afraid? With just the two of you? Yang Jian and Wang Hao's faces were filled with disdain and contempt. In their eyes, the youth in front of them was just a sage emperor. He wasn't even a great emperor yet. Such a person, as long as they moved their fingers, they could easily deal with him. Wang Hao and Yang Jian looked at each other. Brother Wang, are you going to do it, or should I? Wang Hao smiled and made an inviting gesture, saying, Brother Yang, please. Yang Jian did not hold back. He nodded and coldly looked at Longao. Longao, originally, we wanted to break through to the divine Tao before coming to find you. But do you know why we came to find you so quickly? Longao didn't say anything. He just coldly looked at the two of them. Longao, back then in the outer sea, we almost died to your hands. I have to admit that you're quite a character. Nonsense. Without the slightest anger, Yang Jian continued, Longao, I'm sure you're well aware of the enmity between us. However, the two of us are magnanimous and can let you go. Were the two of them really so kind? Regardless of whether others believed it or not, he definitely did not believe it. The primal chaos tablet. As long as you hand it over, we'll let you go. From now on, we won't interfere with each other. How about it? As expected. The temptation of the primal chaos tablet was something that even the heavenly Daos wouldn't be able to resist, let alone the two of them. Longao wasn't the slightest bit surprised. He had already guessed that Yang Jian and Wang Hao had only broken through to the ninth heaven stage. They hadn't even broken through to the divine Tao before rushing into the martial heaven continent to find him. Could it be that they really wanted to kill him? If it was just to kill him, there was no need for them to do this. After all, the martial heaven continent was filled with experts, and divine Tao experts were as numerous as the hairs on an ox. Any random divine Tao expert could easily kill the two of them. It was precisely because of the temptation of the primal chaos tablet that the two of them were prepared to take the risk and leave the outer sea to find him. Strictly speaking, the two of them wanted to obtain the primal chaos tablet as quickly as possible. The two people's thoughts were actually very simple. Longao's strength was not very strong. If an accident happened and he was killed, wouldn't the primal chaos stone tablet also change owners? At that time, finding the primal chaos tablet would be even more difficult. In order to obtain the primal chaos tablet, Yang Jian and Wang Hao had come. Seeing that Longao wasn't dead, the two of them sighed in relief. As for how they had found Longao, the reason was very simple. As reincarnation realm experts, the two of them had their own methods. As ninth heaven stage demigods, killing Longao was more than enough for them to snatch the primal chaos tablet. Longao, compared to your life, everything else is like floating clouds. I believe that a wise man submits to circumstances. There's no need to give up your life for the primal chaos tablet. Before obtaining the primal chaos tablet, the two of them didn't dare to casually kill Longao. In their eyes, let alone one Longao, even 10,000 Longaos couldn't compare to the primal chaos tablet. In order to ensure that nothing went wrong, the two of them decided to first obtain the primal chaos tablet. As for Longao, from start to finish, the two of them had no intention of letting him go. This time, Longao had to die. Longao could already guess what the two of them were thinking. Let alone the two of them, even if it were him, he would also cut the weeds and pull out the roots. You want the primal chaos tablet? Sure, but I can only give it to one of you. Author's note, Chapter 9 sent here. Chapter 1166. One person? What was the meaning of this? He coldly snorted in his heart. Yang Jian, Wang Hao, My meaning is very simple. My primal chaos tablet can only be given to one of you. Now, let's decide a winner. Otherwise, I would rather destroy the primal chaos tablet. You want to destroy the primal chaos tablet with just you? Yang Jian and Wang Hao clearly didn't believe him. After all, the primal chaos tablet was the most powerful divine tool in the world. Not to mention Longao, even if a Nirvana realm martial artist personally came, they wouldn't be able to destroy the primal chaos tablet. You don't believe me? Seeing that Yang Jian and Wang Hao didn't speak, Longao smiled and said, even if I can't destroy the primal chaos tablet, you can forget about obtaining it. Hearing this, the two's faces became more and more gloomy. The two were very clear that if the other party hid the primal chaos tablet, it would be impossible for them to find it. Killing each other. The two weren't idiots. Of course, they understood Longao's meaning. He wanted to use the primal chaos tablet to make the two of them kill each other. Once both sides were injured, he could sit back and reap the benefits. Fight each other? The two looked at each other. In order to obtain the primal chaos tablet, not to mention killing each other, they would even kill their own father. In the next moment, just as the two were about to fight, the two suddenly turned around and simultaneously shot towards Longao. He wasn't surprised at all because Longao had already guessed that before the two of them obtained the primal chaos tablet, they definitely wouldn't kill each other. After all, the two of them were 100% aware that he would reap the benefits. They didn't dodge at all. If it was before entering the massacre abyss, Longao definitely wouldn't fight them head-on. After all, the difference between a great Emperor realm martial artist and a demigod realm martial artist was huge. The two of them weren't on the same level. But now, Longao's situation was completely different. His cultivation had smoothly broken through from the titled Great Emperor realm to the 9th Heaven demigod realm. Even if it was 1 against 2, he still wouldn't be afraid. In the blink of an eye, the two of them were already engaged in a fierce battle. In an instant, they had exchanged 10 moves and then separated again. At this moment, Yang Jian and Wang Hao's faces were gloomy to the extreme, and they were shocked to the extreme as well. Never had they imagined that Chen Shi's cultivation had actually broken through to the 9th heavenly layer as well. Wasn't such a speed of cultivation a little too terrifying? At this rate of cultivation, even if the other party was not a reincarnator, he believed that the other party's cultivation speed would far surpass the two of them. The more powerful Longao's talent was, the more terrifying his cultivation speed was. The two of them were even more determined that no matter what happened, they had to get rid of this person and eliminate all future troubles. Kill. Similarly, the two of them did not place Longao in their eyes. So what if the other party was a 9th heaven demigod martial artist? It was 2 against 1. Yang Jian and Wang Hao didn't believe that they couldn't kill Longao with their combined strength. If they couldn't do it, they wouldn't be worthy of being called reincarnators. Their divine soul auras collided. Longao also sneered. Using his fingers as a sword, the terrifying sword chi merged with the aura of heaven and earth. Just the aura and sword momentum alone had already suppressed the two of them. Under normal circumstances, as reincarnators who had broken through to the demigod realm, the two of them had merged the aura of their two lives. Among martial artists of the same level, it seemed that no one could suppress them. What others couldn't do didn't mean that Longao couldn't do it. Just sensing the terrifying aura that erupted from Longao, Yang Jian and Wang Hao exclaimed as if they had seen it before, the aura of heaven and earth. You're a Nirvana martial artist. Just as they said this, the two of them swallowed back their words. The two of them knew very well that the other party was not a Nirvana martial artist at all. Although they didn't know why the other party could release the aura of heaven and earth, the two of them were sure that they couldn't suppress the other party in terms of aura. That was exactly the case. The two of them no longer clashed with their auras, but chose to fight in close quarters. 2 against 1, the two of them were still confident that they could kill Longao directly. Longao knew clearly what the two of them were thinking. Fight in close quarters. Who's afraid of who? Longao had the sacred body of desolation, and he punched out with both fists. You punch, and I punch. The shadows of the fists flashed, and the three of them couldn't be seen clearly. Longao had the help of Long Qiong and Long Ming. The Divine Dragon Arm and the Dark Tiger Arm were used together. Although Longao's fist force was not as strong as the sword chi, it was more than enough to contend with the two of them. At this moment, Yang Jian and Wang Hao were extremely depressed. They couldn't suppress the other party's aura. Even the fist force was far stronger than the two of them. If not for the fact that they were reincarnators, they believed that they would have been defeated long ago. Longao, a demon-like existence. Things had come to this point, and the two of them were very clear that either one of them would die. Therefore, Longao had to die. The next moment, Longao didn't continue to punch. Instead, he used the sword chi and used his fingers instead of the god-slaying sword. Longao's swordsmanship had reached a very high level, and he had integrated the power of the 5 elements. The sword chi was rampant, and the two of them were gradually losing. Innate divine ability, Dragon Roar. Today's innate divine ability was different. In addition to the second bloodline awakening, Longao had integrated the aura of heaven and earth and the firmament devouring skill. In this way, the power of the innate divine ability had tripled. Yang Jian and Wang Hao were suddenly stunned. The flow of space around them changed, and even their bodies were forcibly locked. Not only that, the two of them were horrified to find that their demigod souls were forcibly devoured. If this continued, they believed that they would be obliterated by the other party without having to continue fighting. Until now, Yang Jian and Wang Hao had never thought that Longao's strength would be so powerful. It seemed that they had underestimated the other party. Because of this, the two of them gradually began to retreat, and prepared to leave this place. As for Longao's matter, they would take their time to think about it in the future. In the end, the two of them were truly afraid. They slowly retreated, but their bodies had been locked. The two of them didn't dare to have the slightest bit of carelessness. They joined hands and forcibly broke the lock. Because of Longao's carelessness, the two of them turned and left after breaking the seal. In a short while, they had disappeared without a trace. Since things had come to this point, Longao certainly wouldn't let it go. Because he was very clear that once the two of them escaped, there would be endless trouble in the future. Both of them were not ordinary warriors. They were reincarnation realm warriors. Although they were only 9th heaven demigod warriors, their cultivation speed was much faster than ordinary warriors. Once they broke through to the realm of divine Tao and launched a sneak attack, the consequences would be unimaginable. Want to leave? Longao used the spatial teleportation and his body suddenly disappeared. In terms of speed, Longao had full confidence that the two of them couldn't escape. Chapter 1167. At this moment, Yang Jian and Wang Hao were depressed to the extreme. The two of them traveled thousands of miles from the outer sea to the Tianwu continent. Other than killing Longao, their most important goal was to obtain the primal chaos stone tablet. But the result? Until now, the two of them were still in a daze. They did not know why Longao was so strong. It was somewhat unexpected. His coming. Sensing the sword chi behind them, the two of them were shocked. After the battle, the two of them already knew that even if they joined forces, they would not be a match for their opponent. If they continued to fight, the two of them would definitely die. There was only one way. The two of them were very clear that as Rebirth Realm martial artists, as long as they had enough time, once they awakened, they would become Supreme Tao martial artists. As long as they were one step ahead of Longao, it would be easy to kill Longao when the time came. No matter what, the Demigod Realm and the Supreme Tao Realm were two extremes, not to mention that it was 2 against 1. Longao. Without giving the two of them any chance to speak, the god-slaying sword in Longao's hand fiercely swung out. Before the person arrived, the sword chi had already shot out. The two of them were shocked. They had already personally felt the terror of the opponent's sword chi. They did not dare to meet force with force. As they dodged, it was as if they were drinking milk and drinking milk. They wished they could grow 2 more legs. Longao had already made up his mind to kill the two of them. He chased with all his might. Martial Artists Alliance. Longao chased them all the way to the Martial Artists Alliance. It was also because of this that he was very curious. He did not know why the two of them chose the Martial Artists Alliance. Since things had already come to this, even if there was a risk of his identity being exposed, Longao had to kill the two of them. After all, the threat of two Rebirth Realm martial artists was too great. He would not wait until the two of them had broken through to the Supreme Tao realm to find trouble with him. No matter if it was for himself or for his family. My lord, please save us. The 8 deputy leaders of the Martial Artists Alliance appeared at the same time. Shangguan Yi seemed to be a little surprised. Because he did not expect Yang Jian and Wang Hao to have successfully reincarnated. What happened? As soon as Shangguan Yi finished speaking, Longao appeared. Longao looked coldly at the 8 Vice Alliance Masters in front of him, as well as Yang Jian and Wang Hao, who were standing beside Shangguan Yi. He already knew what had happened, and his heart was heavy. Black Wolf. Almost everyone knew that the Black Wolf was Longao, but everyone knew that Longao had entered the Long family's forbidden area and died. If that was the case, why would he appear here? What happened? Yang Jian and Wang Hao did not dare to hide anything as they recounted everything that had happened. As for the Primal Chaos Stone Tablet, they did not mention a single word. The two of them were not fools. They knew that once the Vice Alliance Master found out about the Primal Chaos Stone Tablet, it would be nearly impossible for them to obtain it. Longao, so you didn't die. Longao was a disciple of the Long family, but everyone knew that the Long family did not see eye to eye with Longao. Otherwise, Longao would not have been punished and entered the forbidden area, his life and death unknown. Shangguan Yi, this is between me and them. It's best if you don't interfere. Longao, who do you think you are? How dare you speak to the Lord like that? After entering the Martial Arts Alliance, Yang Jian and Wang Hao heaved a sigh of relief. There were 8 Vice Alliance leaders, which meant that 8 Nirvana Realm martial artists were here. Would a mere Longao dare to be presumptuous? Longao, leave first. We will deal with this later. Seeing that Longao was not dead, Tang Hao was pleasantly surprised, but he did not show it. Because the Martial Artists Alliance had already decided to capture Longao, but because Longao had fallen in the Long family's forbidden area, this matter was left unsettled. How could Longao not understand Tang Hao's intentions? He clearly knew that if he did not leave, a battle would be unavoidable, but Longao still wanted to stay. The reason was simple. Yang Jian and Wang Hao already knew about his Primal Chaos Stone Tablet. Since his identity had already been exposed, then the Primal Chaos Stone Tablet could not be leaked. Otherwise, not to mention others, even the Tao of Heaven would interfere. Aside from the Primal Chaos Stone Tablet, Yang Jian and Wang Hao were both Rebirth Realm martial artists. There was no need to guess that the two of them would definitely become Divine Realm martial artists in the future. This was too big of a threat to him and his family. Tang Hao, what do you mean? Shangguan Yi, Longao's matter is not up to us to interfere. You should know what the Long family and the Dragon clan mean. In the past, if they did not know Longao's true identity, then so be it. Now that they knew, if they forcefully dealt with Longao, wouldn't it be provoking the Long family? No one knew what was going on with Longao and the Long family. How could Shangguan Yi not understand Tang Hao's intentions? However, Longao had taken the initiative to come to them. If they wasted this opportunity, it would not be so easy to hunt down Longao in the future. Actually, in Shangguan Yi's heart, she wanted to kill Longao with her own hands. It was also a way to establish her authority. Tang Hao, before the Alliance Master left, he left all matters of the Alliance to me, not you. As he spoke, Tang Hao took out a token. It was the Alliance Master token. Seeing the Alliance Master token was like seeing the Alliance Master. When he saw the Alliance Master token, even if Tang Hao's heart was filled with anger, he could only forcefully suppress it. After all, he could not provoke the Alliance Master and disregard the Alliance Master token for Longao. Seeing that Tang Hao did not speak, Shangguan Yi sneered and said coldly, Longao, since you are here, then stay. As for your life and death, wait for the Alliance Master to return and decide it himself. He cursed in his heart. Would Shangguan Yi wait for Tong Tiendi to return? Regardless of whether others believed it or not, he would never believe it. Longao looked coldly at the 10 people in front of him. With a fearless expression, he took out a black token from his chest. It was almost identical to the black token in Shangguan Yi's hand. It was the Alliance Master token. Seeing that Longao suddenly took out the Alliance Master token, the expressions of the 8 Vice Alliance Masters changed. Shangguan Yi immediately said angrily, Longao, how dare you steal the Alliance Master token? If I don't kill you today, the Martial Artists Alliance will lose face. Shangguan Yi, I am very skeptical that a person like you can become the Vice Alliance Master of the Martial Artists Alliance. The Alliance Master token in my hand was personally given to me by the Alliance Master. Seeing the Alliance Master token is like seeing the Alliance Master. I order you to hand over Wang Hao and Yang Jian now. Tang Hao and the other Vice Alliance Masters were a little confused by the 2 Alliance Master tokens. In fact, Shangguan Yi and the other Vice Alliance Masters knew very well that with Longao's strength, he would not be able to take the Alliance Master token away from the Alliance Master. Could it be that the Alliance Master really gave it to him? They found it hard to believe. Longao, the origin of your Alliance Master token is unknown. You are trespassing into the Alliance. Kill without mercy. Author's note, Chapter 11 is here. If you have free monthly and recommendation tickets, please vote for Longao. After all, his ranking is too bad. Chapter 1168. Kill without mercy. Regardless of whether the Alliance Leader token in Longao's hand was real or not, Tong Tiendi had personally instructed before he left the Alliance that Shanghai Yi would be in charge of all matters during his absence. Tang Hao's face was extremely gloomy, but he suppressed his anger in the end. Brother Shangguan, why don't we take him down first and wait for the Alliance Leader to come back and make a decision? The other 6 deputy Alliance leaders were wary of the Long family. Was it worth it to offend the Long family for the sake of Longao? Shanghai Yi's face turned cold. Shanghai Yi raised the Alliance Leader token in his hand and said coldly, Where is the enforcers? As soon as he finished speaking, dozens of demigods appeared. In Shanghai Yi's opinion, Longao was already trapped and would not dare to resist. Take him down. If he dares to resist, kill without mercy. Shanghai Yi could not wait for Longao to resist. That way, he would have sufficient reason to kill him. Dozens of people rushed toward Longao in a frenzy. In everyone's eyes, Longao was only a great emperor martial artist. After all, it was impossible for him to break through to the 9th heaven demigod realm in a short span of a year. Cold eyes looked forward to it. Longao did not retreat, nor did he leave. He was prepared to meet force with force. No matter what happened today, Yang Jian and Wang Hao had to die. In other words, if the 2 of them did not die, there would be endless trouble for him and his family. The heavenly Tao might even descend. Either you die or I die. Innate divine ability, dragons roar. At this point, Longao did not continue to hide it. After all, everyone already knew his identity. In this way, Longao was prepared to kill Yang Jian and Wang Hao in one fell swoop. Otherwise, once the 8 deputy alliance leaders intervened, it would be even more difficult for him to continue killing Yang Jian and Wang Hao. Innate divine ability. No one was curious about the innate divine ability of the Long family. This was because the Long family was able to become one of the 10 great tripod forces because of the Dragon Clan and a small number of geniuses who possessed powerful innate divine abilities. You could say that Long family disciples with supernatural powers would have an absolute advantage among martial artists of the same level. They could even challenge those of a higher level. Their supernatural powers were their greatest killing moves. Shangguan Yi looked coldly at the scene in front of her. With dozens of people working together, capturing Longao would be a piece of cake. If it was the Longao from before, it would have been very difficult for him to lock onto the bodies of dozens of people with his innate ability. But now, Longao's cultivation base had broken through to the 9th heaven demigod realm, and his strength had increased tremendously. Dozens of people were locked down. With the combined pressure of the heaven and earth, it was impossible for dozens of people to break out of the lock and break out of the heaven and earth's aura instantly. He did not use the god-slaying sword. Longao used his finger as a sword, and a terrifying sword aura flowed. In the next second, countless sword chi were released, and one after another, forming a meteor sword rain. Longao, don't you dare! Shangguan Yi and Tang Hao were shocked when they sensed the aura of the divine soul from Longao and the powerful sword aura. From the beginning to the end, no one had expected Longao to have broken through to the demigod realm and even reached the 9th heaven demigod realm. In just 1 year, he had reached such a height. Such talent and speed of cultivation could only be described with one word: monstrous. Don't you dare! Longao sneered. Since things had come to this, why wouldn't he dare? Ignoring Shangguan Yi's angry roar, Longao's sword chi didn't stop at all. Countless sword chi kept piercing through dozens of people's bodies. In just a few seconds, dozens of people were killed instantly, and their bodies were cut into countless small pieces by the sword chi. He killed dozens of demigod realm martial artists in one strike. What did this mean? Longao, how dare you kill the enforcers of the alliance? Shangguan Yi, cut the crap. If you don't hand over Yang Jian and Wang Hao today, not to mention the enforcers, even you will have to die. Ha ha ha, with just you? Hearing Longao's words, Shangguan Yi laughed maniacally. Her laughter was full of contempt and mockery, as if she had heard the funniest thing in the world. All of a sudden, Shangguan Yi's body suddenly disappeared. As a Nirvana realm martial artist, Shangguan Yi was very fast. Before Longao could react, she was already in front of him. He was shocked. It would be a lie to say that he was not afraid of Shangguan Yi. After all, a Nirvana realm martial artist was not to be trifled with. She struck with her palm and it flashed past like lightning. Tang Hao and the others did not doubt that with Shangguan Yi's strength, Longao would definitely die if she struck him with her palm, unless Longao was not human or had hidden his strength. But what was the result? The palm did not land on Longao's body, but on the body of the 5-element slave. Without any suspense, this palm was forcibly blocked by the 5-element slave. Although the 5-elements family slave did not have any attacking ability, his defense was extremely strong. Even the divine dragon could not compare with him. Shangguan Yi took 10 steps back and looked at the old man in front of her in a daze. The fact that the old man could resist her attack showed that he was powerful. He was a Nirvana realm martial artist. No wonder Longao was fearless and dared to come to the alliance alone to cause trouble and threaten to kill people. It turned out that he was already prepared. After all, a Nirvana realm martial artist was enough to deter a force. Who are you? The 5-elements family slave did not speak, but Longao said, Shangguan Yi, I will settle the grudge between you and me in the future. Today, hand over Yang Jian and Wang Hao, and I will turn around and leave. Otherwise, I will not hesitate to slaughter the entire martial artists alliance. If it was an ordinary person or the previous Longao who said such words, Shangguan Yi would definitely scoff. However, the mysterious old man's strength was already in front of her. Even if Longao could not do it, she believed that if a Nirvana realm martial artist attacked with all his strength, the martial artists alliance would suffer heavy losses. Now that things had come to this, even Tang Hao knew clearly that once the two were handed over, it would mean that the martial artists alliance admitted that they were afraid of Longao. If this matter was spread out, the martial artists alliance would lose face. How could they explain to the alliance master when he came back? Moreover, being afraid of Longao was equivalent to being afraid of the Long family. After this matter, the Long family would definitely suppress the martial artists alliance. Not to mention Shangguan Yi, Tang Hao alone would not agree to such a thing. As the deputy alliance master, he should put the interests of the alliance first. Tang Hao did not want to deal with Longao, but he could not ignore the interests of the alliance. When necessary, he would take action when it was necessary. Longao, do you really think the alliance can let you do whatever you want? Ha ha ha, Shangguan Yi, you and I don't know what the result will be. We will know after the battle. P.S. Thank you for your monthly votes and recommendation votes. After all, the higher the ranking, the more talents will read this book. Even Xiao Ju would not believe that I don't want to be famous. Chapter 1169. Longao's arrogance made the 8 people very uncertain in their hearts. Could it be that Longao had nothing to fear? Kill. Longao didn't want to waste time. Others didn't know, but it didn't mean that he didn't know. The 5 Elements family slaves could only defend and couldn't attack. Once this was known by the 8 of them, it would be uncertain if they could leave the alliance safely, let alone kill the 2 of them. Longao knew very well that the longer he wasted time, the worse it would be for him. Longao's body suddenly disappeared. The 8 of them were completely stunned because they never thought that Longao would dare to take the initiative to attack in the martial artists alliance. Whether it was for personal grudges or for the benefit of the alliance, the 8 deputy leaders were united at this moment. Shangguan Yi stood in front of the 2 of them to protect them. The 8 deputy leaders and the 8 Nirvana realm martial artists stood back to back in 8 directions. East, west, south, north, northwest, northeast, southwest and southeast. There was no gap at all. If Longao wanted to kill the 2 of them, it would be as difficult as ascending to heaven. Longao's body appeared. His face was extremely gloomy. The 8 of them protected the 2 of them in the center. Their intention was clear. Longao knew that he couldn't kill Yang Jian and Wang Hao under the siege of 8 Nirvana realm martial artists. No matter who you are, as long as you can kill Longao and leave to become an elder of the alliance. As soon as Shangguan Yi gave the order, countless disciples of the alliance swarmed over. There were at least 100 demigods and supreme Dao warriors in the crowd. What did that mean? 1 against 100. If the 100 people were all demigod martial artists, Longao could ignore them. However, among the 100 people, there were a total of 40 supreme Dao martial artists. Not to mention teaming up, even in a one-on-one situation, Longao would find it hard to deal with them. At this moment, life and death were at stake. Big Brother Long, you must not use the 9 needles to seal the gods, otherwise. Bai Ling was a little anxious, but before Bai Ling could finish her sentence, Longao had already cut off all contact with Bai Ling, including Xiling. In this battle, only victory was allowed. This battle concerned his life and death, as well as the life and death of his family. No matter what happened, he had to kill Wang Hao and Yang Jian. He could not let the 2 of them leak the matter of the primal chaos stone tablet. All of a sudden, dragon roars rang out, one after another, one after another, one after another. Countless dragon roars resounded, and no one in the surroundings knew what was going on. Even if Longao was a dragon warrior and had a dragon as his companion, he could let out a dragon roar. But now, at the same time, countless dragon roars rang out. Everyone in the surroundings exclaimed because the dragon roars corresponded to giant dragons. Didn't that mean that there were hundreds of giant dragons? Everyone knew very well what a divine dragon meant. Before anyone could react, a dense group of divine dragons suddenly appeared. Each divine dragon was covered in dark clouds. At a glance, there were hundreds of divine dragons. Longao brought the entire dragon tribe here? The 8 Vice Alliance leaders were scared out of their wits. They knew very well what a few hundred mystical dragons meant. Kill them. Things had already reached this stage. Longao could no longer care about anything else. No matter what happened, he had to kill Yang Jian and Wang Hao to get rid of all future troubles. More than 200 divine Dragon Corps slaves attacked the Alliance disciples in a frenzy. The difference in strength between the 2 sides was too great. They were not even on the same level. In less than a few minutes, half of the hundreds of Alliance disciples were dead. If this situation continued, the remaining 50 people would be killed in less than 10 minutes. Even the Martial Artists Alliance could not afford to lose hundreds of demigod and divine Dao martial artists. Seeing more than 50 people dead, the 8 deputy leaders were completely anxious. They could no longer care about Wang Hao and Yang Jian. 6 of the 8 deputy leaders quickly shot towards the 200 divine Dragon Corps slaves. Until now, the 8 dream ancestors still did not know what was going on with the sudden appearance of divine dragons. The opportunity was here. It was a rare opportunity. Longao did not let go of it. With the help of spatial teleportation, he disappeared from the spot. In the next second, Longao appeared beside the 2. 6 of the 8 deputy leaders were dealing with the divine dragon corpse slaves. The remaining 2 deputy leaders could not take care of all the positions at the same time. Longao, looking at the young man who suddenly appeared in front of them, both Yang Jian and Wang Hao were shocked and shouted. At this moment, the 2 of them were completely terrified. They thought that Longao would not dare to come to the Martial Artists Alliance even if he was given 10,000 guts. Even if Longao chased after them, with the strength and deterrence of the Martial Artists Alliance, Longao would not dare to attack unless he was out of his mind. But the result? Not only did Longao chase after the Martial Artists Alliance, he even fought against the entire alliance. If they did not see it with their own eyes, they would not believe it even if they were beaten to death. Longao, let's stop here and forget about the grudge between us. What do you think? Afraid that Longao would attack, Wang Hao continued, Longao, if you insist, we will tell them about the Chaos Stone Tablet. Tell them. Longao had already guessed that the 2 of them would do this. Otherwise, he would not take the risk to fight against the entire Martial Artists Alliance. No matter what, the Martial Artists Alliance's status and strength were there. If he provoked them, he believed that there would be endless trouble in the future. However, between the Martial Artists Alliance and the Tao of Heaven, and the entire Tianwu continent, Longao would choose the Martial Artists Alliance without hesitation. Seeing Longao's expression, Yang Jian and Wang Hao seemed to have guessed something. Before the 2 of them could continue to threaten him, Longao had already moved. 1 hit, 1 kill. Longao knew very well that if he let go of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, it would not be so easy to kill Yang Jian and Wang Hao later. Soul Formation Attack. As the 2 of them screamed in pain, Longao did not give the 2 vice leaders any chance to intervene. Using his fingers as a sword, he used the 36 Thunder Styles and the Emperor Dragon's 9 fatal strikes and fiercely shot towards the 2. Longao, you will regret this. Killing 2 people under the eyes of 2 Vice Alliance Masters, if this matter succeeded, where would the dignity of the 8 Vice Alliance Masters go? What face would the Martial Artists Alliance have left? Ignoring everyone's threats, sword chi streaked through the air. Yang Jian and Wang Hao's expressions stiffened. Their bodies were instantly cut apart by the sword chi, blood flowing everywhere. After killing the 2 of them, Longao finally relaxed. With Yang Jian and Wang Hao's deaths, there was practically no one left in the Tianwu continent who knew that he possessed the Tianwu continent. This matter would not be leaked. No matter who it was, including the Tao of Heaven, no one would know about this matter. He could rest easy. P.S. Chapter 13, delivered, go eat first. Chapter 1170. After successfully killing Yang Jian and Wang Hao, Longao was ready to leave the Martial Artists Alliance. As for the grudge with the Martial Artists Alliance, he would settle it later. Would the 8 of them agree to Longao's departure? Kill him. After killing 2 people right under their noses, the 8 deputy leaders were furious. If they couldn't kill Longao, the Martial Artists Alliance would be humiliated once the news got out. The Martial Artists Alliance might even be suppressed by the Long family. No matter what happened, Longao couldn't leave the Martial Artists Alliance. Leaving 2 deputy leaders to deal with the Divine Dragons, the remaining 6 deputy leaders, including Tang Hao and Shangguan Iya, attacked Longao. As the battle escalated, everyone was shocked. The hundreds of Divine Dragons were immortal, which meant that they couldn't be killed. Even the 2 deputy leaders couldn't kill the Divine Dragon Corpse slaves unless they used all their strength and attacked continuously. 1 against 6. Longao knew clearly that the 6 Nirvana Realm martial artists couldn't stop him at all. Fortunately, he had the protection of the 5-element slave. Although the 5-element slave was unable to attack, its defense was unparalleled in the world. Not to mention a Nirvana stage martial artist, even if 6 people joined forces, the 5-element slave would be able to forcibly resist. The 6 of them were curious. The fact that the mysterious old man was able to withstand the combined attack of the 6 of them was proof of his strength. But what happened? The mysterious old man retreated again and again. He only defended and didn't attack. What was going on? Since the mysterious old man didn't take the initiative to attack, the 6 of them exchanged glances and increased their strength. With 6 Nirvana realm martial artists working together, their attacks were unstoppable. It was very serious. Longao knew that the longer he delayed, the more disadvantageous it would be for him. Presumptuous. At this moment, a majestic voice was heard. Then, Tong Tiendi appeared. He stood in the air and watched the battle coldly. Everyone stopped fighting. Longao kept more than 200 divine dragon corpse slaves in the dragon seal space. Longao, you barged into the alliance and killed our disciples. Aren't you a little too arrogant? At this moment, Tong Tiendi was obviously enraged. His angry face no longer had the gentleness from before. One had to know that the martial arts alliance was one of the top 10 forces. Whether it was strength, status, or reputation, they were all there. With Longao causing such a ruckus, the martial arts alliance had lost a lot of face, not to mention the losses. Alliance leader, you can't blame me. Looking at him coldly, Tong Tiendi said. Longao did not hide anything either. He narrated everything that happened just now in full detail. After listening to him, the anger on Tong Tiendi's face didn't lessen. Longao, this is the martial artists alliance. Even if you have a grudge with the 2 of them, it has to be dealt with by the alliance. You openly provoked the alliance. If I don't kill you today, I won't be able to answer to the alliance. Tong Tiendi's meaning was clear. If he didn't kill Longao, he wouldn't be able to answer to the alliance. Longao didn't blame Tong Tiendi. After all, no matter who it was, they would have done the same. Alliance leader, Longao has the alliance leader token. Shangguan Ye sneered in his heart. However, losing 2 rebirth realm warriors made him gnash his teeth in anger. After so many years of planning, he finally succeeded. But in the end, it was all for naught. Shut up. Shangguan Ye was shocked. He didn't expect the alliance leader to be angry at him. Nothing like this had ever happened before. It seemed like the alliance leader was really angry. Not daring to continue speaking, Shangguan Ye and the others stood aside obediently. As for the disciples of the alliance, they surrounded Longao. Since the alliance leader was here, everyone was confident that Longao would definitely die. Longao, let me ask you now. Was the divine dragon you just released arranged by the Long family? Tong Tiendi had to get to the bottom of this matter. No matter what, the nature of these 2 matters was completely different. If Longao was alone, even if he killed Longao, no one would come looking for trouble. After all, how many people would dare to find trouble with the martial artists alliance? However, if this matter was related to the Long family, then it would be troublesome. The Long family was not afraid of the martial artists alliance and had the help of the dragon tribe. If this matter was approved by the Long family, then the situation would be completely different. If it was not resolved properly, the martial artists alliance and the Long family would definitely go to war in the future. Long family? If Tong Tiendi hadn't said this, Longao wouldn't have thought of this problem. He sneered in his heart and said expressionlessly, that's right. The 200 divine dragons were lent to me by the Long family. I'm just a small Longao. If it wasn't for the help of the Long family, how could I mobilize 200 divine dragons? Until now. Whether it was Tong Tiendi or Shangguan Ye, none of the 8 deputy leaders knew that the 200 divine dragons were not real divine dragons, but divine dragon corpse slaves. If they knew, they would be scared to death. Longao, what do you mean by this? Tong Tiendi, since things have come to this, I won't hide it from you. Our Long family has long disliked the martial artists alliance. If it wasn't for Yang Jian and Wang Hao, I wouldn't have acted so recklessly. However, the war between the martial artists alliance and the Long family is inevitable. I hope you can resist it when the time comes. Hearing Longao's words, everyone was shocked. Because just as Longao said, if the Long family didn't have this intention, they wouldn't have given Longao more than 200 divine dragons so casually. Moreover, 200 divine dragons was not a small number to the dragon tribe. Tong Tiandi's face was extremely gloomy. The 8 deputy leaders' faces were also very ugly. If the Long family really went to war with the Martial Artists Alliance, no matter the result, it would not be good for the Martial Artists Alliance. Longao, you can't speak carelessly. Deputy Leader Tang, you and I have been friends for a long time. I won't blame you for this. However, I won't let go of the grudge between me and Shangguan Yi. One day, I'll make sure your head is separated from your body. Just you. Longao, is there something wrong with your brain? The Alliance leader is here. Let's not talk about the future. You might not even be able to leave here alive today. Not only Shangguan Yi, but the others also had looks of disdain and ridicule. If the Alliance leader returned in time, would Longao be able to leave here alive? Everyone knew about the Alliance leader's strength. He was a super figure in the top 10 of the Heaven leaderboard. Wasn't a little Longao a little too arrogant? Longao, since you used to be a member of the Alliance, I'll give you a chance. Surrender and I won't kill you for now. However, I'll contact the Long family about this matter. As for your life and death, I'll make a decision later. Tong Tiendi still couldn't bear to kill Longao. Otherwise, if it were someone else, they would have done it long ago. P.S. Delivered to Chapter 14. Chapter 1171. How could the 8 deputy leaders not know what Tong Tiendi meant? Although they knew, they did not dare to say anything. Leader, I want to leave now. Longao, don't be so shameless. The leader is magnanimous and will let you go for now. Don't you dare. Trash. Before Shangguan Yi could react, Longao continued coldly, Shangguan Yi, one day, I, Longao, will tear you into pieces. Ha ha ha, you? Shangguan Yi did not take Longao seriously at all. If it were not for the mysterious old man, Longao would have been dead. Even so, with the leader here, how could Longao leave? There was no doubt about it. Seeing that Longao did not know what was good for him, Tong Tiendi's face gradually darkened. He wanted to give Longao a chance. As long as he did not kill Longao now, it would be easy for him to protect Longao in the future. But now, Longao did not even give him face. If he continued to protect Longao, where would he put his face? At this moment, even Tong Tiendi wanted to kill him. Longao, I will ask you one last time. Are you willing to surrender? Feeling the murderous aura from the leader, Shangguan Yi was delighted. As for Tang Hao, he sighed deeply. Longao doing so was seeking his own death. No matter who it was, no one could help him. He sneered. Since things had come to this, Longao did not plan to leave safely. Leader, please forgive me for not being able to agree. Goodbye. You want to leave? Tong Tiendi did not continue with the nonsense. Longao had already said so much. If he did not kill this person, the Martial Artists Alliance would be completely humiliated. Tong Tiendi was furious, which meant that the entire Martial Artists Alliance was furious. No matter what, Tong Tiendi was the leader of the Martial Artists Alliance. 5 Elements Servant. Hearing Tong Tiendi suddenly call out the identity of the 5 Elements slave, Longao was completely stunned. Because ever since the 5 Elements Patriarch gave the 5 Elements slave to him, no matter who it was, even the 8 Vice Alliance Masters couldn't recognize the identity of the 5 Elements slave. As expected of the Alliance Master, Zhongxian waved his hand to stop everyone. Longao, I want to ask, where did your 5 Elements servants come from? Others might not know, but it was impossible for Tong Tiendi to not know. Tong Tiendi knew clearly what the 5 Elements servant meant. Could it be that Longao was related to the 5 Elements sect? Wasn't Longao a disciple of the Long family? Alliance Master, forgive me for not being able to tell you about the 5 Elements servant. But Alliance Master, since the grudge between me and the Martial Artists Alliance has been laid out, from now on, I have nothing to do with the Martial Artists Alliance. Without giving anyone a chance to speak, Longao continued, I didn't kill the Martial Artists Alliance, and the Martial Artists Alliance didn't kill me without mercy. Longao's arrogance should have been despised and despised by countless people. But now, all the disciples of the Martial Artists Alliance stared at the young man in front of them. He was dressed in black and had long blood-red hair. No one laughed, and no one showed a trace of disdain or contempt. Regardless of whether Longao could leave the Martial Artists Alliance safely or not, his courage alone was worthy of everyone's respect. The Martial Artists Alliance was one of the 10 great forces. Whether it was in terms of strength or background, it was the real deal. Even the other 9 super forces didn't dare to offend the Martial Artists Alliance, let alone Longao. His face was full of admiration. If it wasn't for Longao's insistence, Tong Tiendi wouldn't have killed him. Everyone wanted such a talent. Iye, kill him. Since the other party didn't want to talk about the 5 Elements servant, Tong Tiendi didn't want to waste any more time. Shangguan Iye was overjoyed. She couldn't wait to kill Longao. Yes, Alliance Master. Before anyone could react, Shangguan Iye turned around and appeared in front of Longao like a ghost. Longao, you sent yourself to me. Since you killed Yang Jian and Wang Hao, you can join them in hell. Shangguan Iye struck with her palm. Longao didn't meet force with force. The 5 Elements servant came in front of Longao and took the palm head-on. He wasn't hurt at all. They weren't surprised at all. After all, the defensive power that the mysterious old man had just shown had deeply shocked them. Humph! Tong Tiendi snorted coldly. He moved even faster and struck the 5 Elements servant directly. According to the 5 Elements Patriarch, the 5 Elements servant could even withstand the attack of a Nirvana realm warrior. But what was the result? With Tong Tiendi's palm, the 5 Elements servant was sent flying like a kite with a broken string. Longao was shocked. He didn't expect Tong Tiendi to be so powerful. No one could hurt the 5 Elements servant. Tong Tiendi sent the 5 Elements servant flying with just one palm. He didn't dare to lose the 5 Elements servant. Longao's spiritual soul moved. The 5 Elements servant, who had been sent flying, disappeared and returned to Longao's body. Tong Tiendi didn't do it himself. He returned to his original position coldly. His intention was clear. Shangguan Iye wasn't a fool. She sneered and rushed out again. Without the 5 Elements servant to fight, Longao had to do it himself. Shangguan Iye was too fast. In addition to Tong Tiendi's powerful strength, Longao didn't have time to react. He met Shangguan Iye's palm head-on. With the protection of the Saint of Desolation body, Longao's body was sent flying. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his face turned pale instantly. He spun in a circle, but his body was on the verge of collapse. Shangguan Iye and the others were surprised that the palm didn't kill Longao. Shangguan Iye had full confidence in her strength. Not to mention a demigod, even a supreme divine path warrior wouldn't be able to withstand her move. Longao, I'd like to see how you're going to take my second palm. The spacetime wheel. Longao knew very well that if he didn't use the spacetime wheel to escape, it would be impossible for him to escape under the siege of Tong Tiendi and the 8 Deputy Alliance Masters. Although Longao knew the consequences of using the spacetime wheel by force, he was still prepared. If Shangguan Iye continued to attack him, he would immediately use the spacetime wheel to escape. Shangguan Iye didn't know what Longao was thinking. However, in everyone's mind, Longao was already a turtle in a jar. If Longao could escape under such circumstances, everyone could die, let alone Shangguan Iye. A dragon's roar was heard. Before Shangguan Iye could make a move, a terrifying aura had already suppressed him. P.S. Something urgent happened today. I'll update 2 chapters. I'll write more in the 2nd chapter. I'll update more tomorrow. Please forgive me. Chapter 1172. A man and a dragon descended from the sky. Long Di Tien, 9 Firmaments Divine Dragon. Looking at the man and dragon in front of him, Tong Tiendi said word by word. Not only Tong Tiendi, everyone was shocked. Long family patriarch and Dragon clan patriarch had descended at the same time. What was going on? Longao was also surprised. He did not expect Long Di Tien to appear so suddenly. The Nine Firmament's divine dragon turned into a tall and sturdy man in black with a cold expression. Brother Tong. Brother Long, both of them were super warriors in the Sky Martial continent. They were both in the top 10 of the Heaven ranking. Long family and Martial Artists Alliance were both part of the 10 great factions. On the surface, nothing seemed to be going on, but in reality, these two superpowers were fighting both openly and secretly. They both wanted to deal with each other and increase their own strength. Brother Long, why have you come to the Martial Artists Alliance? He sneered in his heart. Of course, Long Di Tien knew that Tong Tiendi knew why he was here. He was just pretending. Shameless. Brother Tong, my intention is simple. Although Long Ao did something wrong, he is still a disciple of the Long family. Even if there is a punishment, it should be settled by the Long family. As expected. Everyone looked at Long Di Tien with anger in their hearts. Long Ao had openly provoked the Martial Artists Alliance. If this was handed over to the Long family, the Martial Artists Alliance would lose face. Brother Long, are you saying that you want to take Long Ao away? That's right. I hope Brother Tong can give me face. Give your sister. Everyone looked down on the Long family patriarch in their hearts. However, with Long Di Tien's strength and status, no one dared to say anything. Tong Tiendi's face was gloomy. He sneered and said, Brother Long, I believe you know what Long Ao did. If you were in his shoes, what would you do? From beginning to end, Long Ao didn't say a word. He did not know what Long Di Tien wanted to do, but it was precisely because of this that he had to remain still and observe carefully to see what Long Di Tien wanted to do. Brother Tong, I'll take Long Ao away first. As for the other matters, I'll personally explain them to you later. How about it? If it were any other matter, Heavenly the Arch Tong would definitely give him some face since Long Di Tien had already said so. But now, Long Ao had openly provoked the alliance and killed more than 50 disciples. If he was taken away by the Long family, where would his face be? What about the reputation of the Martial Artists Alliance? Wouldn't the Martial Artists Alliance tell the whole world that the Martial Artists Alliance was afraid of Long family? As the leader of the Martial Artists Alliance, Tong Tiendi knew that no matter what happened, he had to put the interests of the alliance first. Therefore, Long Ao could not leave, nor could he be taken away by Long Di Tien. Otherwise, the Martial Artists Alliance would lose face. Brother Long, I'm sorry. Tong Tiendi's meaning was very clear. Long Di Tien was not an idiot. Of course, he understood what Tong Tiendi meant. However, he was not angry at all. Instead, he asked, what if I insist on taking Long Ao away? Fight. Tong Tiendi's meaning was very clear. If Long Di Tien forcefully took Long Ao away, the Martial Artists Alliance would undoubtedly choose to go to war. When that time came, the consequences of the war between the two superpowers would be unimaginable. For a long time, the two superpowers had been very wary of each other's strength. Therefore, unless it was absolutely necessary, neither the Martial Artists Alliance nor the Long family would casually make a move. This was because they could not bear the consequences. Brother Tong, I'll say it again. Long Ao is a disciple of the Long family. No matter what happens, I will take Long Ao away. Even if it means a battle to the death, I will not hesitate. However, I hope that Brother Tong will give me some face. Unafraid of a battle, Tong Tiendi's expression became even more gloomy. The Long family's strength was there for all to see. If it was just the Long family, they could directly ignore it. However, behind the Long family was the entire Dragon clan. As such, once a battle broke out, it would be hard to tell who would win and who would lose. For a moment, Tong Tiendi and Long Di Tien did not speak. Since the two superpowers did not speak, the rest of the people in the surroundings did not dare to speak either. They all stood in place. Unknowingly, the disciples of the Martial Artists Alliance surrounded Long Ao. Their intentions were very clear. As long as the Alliance Master gave the order, regardless of Long Di-Tian's status, they would all rush forward. Time slowly passed. No one knew how much time had passed. Brother Long, I already know what you mean. However, I will also tell you from my standpoint. No matter what happens today, Longao cannot be taken away. A great battle was about to break out. One wanted to take away Longao, while the other did not allow it. The final result would be a great battle between the two superpowers. However, everyone knew that this was the martial artists' alliance, not the Long family. Once a battle broke out, the one who would suffer in the end would be Long Di-Tian, not Tong Tiendi. Before Long Di-Tian could speak, Tong Tiendi suddenly said, "Brother Long, there is something that you don't seem to know. Just now, Long Ao released more than 200 divine dragons. I wonder if Brother Long knows about this." Tong Tiendi was very concerned about this question. This was because if the answer was different, then the result would be different. If this was done by Long Ao alone, then the Martial Artists Alliance and the Long family would be at peace. However, if this was a promise from the Long family, then the situation would be completely different. More than 200 divine dragons? Hearing Tong Tiendi's words, Long Di-Tian was very surprised. He turned around, looked at Long Ao, and asked, "Long Ao, what's going on?" Of course, Long Di-Tian knew what the appearance of more than 200 divine dragons meant. If it was the elders of the family, then it would make sense. However, for Long Ao, this matter was a little strange. Whether or not Long Ao could be taken away was a matter for the future. The problem now was that he had to figure out the matter of more than 200 divine dragons. Shameless. Long Ao's good impression of Tong Tiendi was completely gone. This was because he could not let Long Di-Tian know about the Divine Dragon Corps slaves. Otherwise, he would be in big trouble. If the Long family knew that he had entered the Dragon Tomb, tricked all the Divine Dragon souls into the Dragon Seal space, and refined them into Divine Dragon Corps slaves, it was obvious what the consequences would be. Because of this, Long Ao was very clear that no matter what happened, this matter had to be kept a secret. He could not let Long Di-Tian know about the Divine Dragon Corps slaves. "Patriarch, I will explain this matter to you later." "No, I want to hear it now." Long Di-Tian obviously did not want to miss this topic. If he did not figure out the matter of 200 divine dragons, he would not be able to explain it to his old companions. Although the 9 Firmaments divine dragon did not speak, his face was extremely gloomy. This was because he also wanted to know what was going on with the 200 Divine Dragon Corps slaves that Long Ao had summoned. Other than the Long family elders and the Dragon clan elders, who else could do this? Speak. The 9 Firmaments divine dragon's voice was extremely cold. If Long Di-Tian was not stunned, the 9 Firmaments divine dragon would have really attacked. Seeing this situation, Tong Tiendi heaved a sigh of relief. This was because he was not a fool. Long Di-Tian obviously did not know about this matter. As long as it was not the intention of the Long family, this matter would be much easier to handle. In the end, Long Di-Tian was very afraid of the Long family and the Dragon clan. Shangguan Ye, who was at the side, sneered in her heart. It seemed that she did not need to do anything. As long as Long Ao could not explain the reason, she believed that Long Di-Tian and the 9 Firmaments divine dragon would not let him go. Primordial divine dragon. 4 words, just 4 words, just 4 words. Other than those 4 words, Long Ao did not say anything else. Furthermore, it was a spiritual sense transmission. The others, including Tong Tiendi, did not know what Long Ao had said. Long Di-Tian and the 9 Firmaments divine dragon were extremely shocked. The two of them naturally knew what the primordial divine dragon represented. Long Ao would not say the words primordial divine dragon for no reason. Furthermore, he also mentioned the 200 divine dragons. Could it be that this matter was related to the old ancestor? Originally, Long Di-Tian wanted to take Long Ao away. Now that this matter had happened, Long Di-Tian wanted to take Long Ao away even more. He did not even hesitate to start a war with the Martial Artists Alliance. Tong Tiendi would never have thought that he had originally wanted Long Di Tien and Longao to fall out and interfere in this matter. However, he had unknowingly helped Longao. If Tong Tiendi knew about this, who knew what he would think? Brother Long, I can promise you that I will not kill Longao. However, I cannot let you take Longao away. Please understand. Tong Tiendi, I have already made myself very clear. Since you are not willing to let me take Longao away, then we can only fight. If you can defeat us, I will immediately leave. I will not interfere in Longao's matters. If you lose, I will take Longao away. How about it? Challenge. Tong Tiendi did not immediately accept the challenge. However, his expression became uglier and uglier. If it was a one-on-one battle, he would not be afraid of Long Di Tien. However, the problem was that Long Di Tien had never fought alone. Instead, he had teamed up with a dragon. One Long Di Tien was already very difficult to deal with. With the addition of the dragon race's patriarch, the Nine Firmaments divine dragon, Tong Tiendi did not have any confidence. The surrounding disciples of the alliance were watching. Long Di Tien had already issued the challenge. If Tong Tiendi did not accept the challenge, it would be a little embarrassing. After all, under such circumstances, everyone hoped that their alliance master would accept the challenge. Would the alliance master accept the challenge or not? Everyone was watching. The more they watched, the uglier Tong Tiendi's expression became. This was because he never expected that Long Di Tien would not hesitate to issue a challenge to him for Longao. He was now in a difficult position. If he did not accept the challenge, where would his dignity go? If he accepted the challenge and lost, it would not be a good thing for him and the Martial Artists Alliance. Brother Tong, you and I have always minded our own business. There is no need to make a fuss over this matter. Longao is ultimately a disciple of my Long family. If you don't let me take him away, you can't justify it. I have already said that I will personally explain this matter to you later. I hope that Brother Tong will give me some face. Unless it was a last resort, Long Di Tien did not want to completely fall out with Long Di Tien. P.S. The previous chapter was updated at 9:40 a.m. There was a problem with the website and it kept showing that the chapter did not exist. This chapter was updated at 11:08 a.m. Chapter 1173. The battle was about to start. Everyone held their breaths. Once the battle started, it would mean that the Martial Artists Alliance and the Long family had completely fallen out. The battle between the two superpowers would have a huge impact on the entire Tianwu continent, not to mention the impact it would have on the two superpowers. Brother Long, if that's the case, we can only fight. Accept the challenge. Long Di Tien's challenge, Tong Tiendi's challenge. The surroundings became quiet. The two of them stared at each other. In the next second, both of them suddenly disappeared. Before the crowd could react, the two superpowers had already started fighting. They were infinitely close to the peak of martial arts. There was no need to talk about their strength. There was no earth-shattering battle. There was no aura fluctuation. The Nine Heavens divine dragon did not make a move. The two of them fought for 30 rounds, but there was no clear winner. In fact, everyone knew that the alliance leader had lost and Long Di Tien had won. But one had to know that Long Di Tien alone was able to fight against the alliance leader. If the Nine Heavens divine dragon was added, would the alliance leader be able to fight back? One palm. The two of them both retreated 10 steps. There was no clear winner. They were in big trouble. Brother Long, thank you. Not only Long Di Tien, but everyone else also knew what Tong Tiendi's thanks meant. In this battle, Long Di Tien did not ask the Nine Heavens divine dragon for help. Otherwise, Long Di Tien would definitely win. Brother Long, no matter what happens today, I will not let you take Longao away. Otherwise, I will not be able to answer to the alliance. Tong Tiendi had made up his mind. Longao had openly provoked the alliance and killed their disciples. Moreover, Long Di Tien had personally come. If Long Di Tien took Longao away, how would he face? How would the alliance's face be left? If this matter was spread, wouldn't it tell everyone that he and the alliance were afraid of Long Di-Tien? Afraid of the Long family? As the alliance leader, Tong Tiendi would never let such a thing happen. This time, Long Di-Tien had already decided to take Longao away no matter what happened in the martial artists alliance. Furthermore, just now, Longao had mentioned the primordial divine dragon and the 200 divine dragons. This way, Long Di-Tien was even more determined to not let Longao stay. Longao could not die. Whether it was for the dragon race, Long family, or about the ancestor. Brother Tong, even if we fight for 3 days and 3 nights, we still won't be able to determine the victor. Regarding this point, Tong Tiendi expressed his agreement. As long as the 9 firmaments divine dragon did not make a move, Tong Tiendi was confident that he could contend against Long Di-Tien. After all, the two of them were about the same in terms of strength. In that case, if this stalemate continued, then Long Di-Tien wouldn't be able to take Longao away, and Tong Tiendi wouldn't be able to hold Longao back. At this moment, Tong Tiendi's face turned cold as he said, "Brother Long, if you insist on taking Longao away, I can only use my full strength. If we gather the strength of the entire alliance, do you think you can take Longao away?" Can't take him away. This was what everyone was thinking, including Long Di-Tien and the 9 firmaments divine dragon. They had to admit that Long Di-Tien and the 9 firmaments divine dragon were very strong. Even if they were to fight against Tong Tiendi, they could still suppress him slightly. But even so, what could they do? However, if Tong Tiendi used the strength of the entire martial artists alliance, the problem would be completely different. Even Long Di-Tien himself knew that he couldn't fight against the entire martial artists alliance. As one of the 10 pillars, the strength and foundation of the martial artists alliance was obvious. Not to mention him alone, even if his entire Long family joined in, it was still unknown who would win. Long Di-Tien's face became more and more gloomy. "Brother Tong, you're being a little alarmist." At this moment, a dignified voice suddenly rang out. In the next second, 2 figures suddenly appeared in the 9 firmaments void. They were extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye, the 2 of them were already in front of Long Di-Tien. Seeing the sudden appearance of the 2 people, everyone was completely stunned. This was because no one could imagine why the 2 of them would suddenly appear in the martial artists alliance. Tong Tiendi's face was very ugly. "Brother Murong, Brother Sima, I wonder why the 2 of you suddenly came to the martial artists alliance." Emperor Ken, Murong Guena, Sword Sect Master. Sima too, Sect Master of the 5 Elements Sect. No one knew why the 2 super experts suddenly came to the martial artists alliance. However, Tong Tiendi had a bad feeling in his heart. If the 2 of them wanted to help the alliance, they would stand by his side and not Long Di-Tien's side. Murong Guena smiled and said, "Brother Tong, Longao and I are friends. I'll apologize to you on behalf of Longao. This matter will end here. We're going to take Longao away." Sima too also smiled and said, "That's what I meant too." This was going to be troublesome. The master of the 3 super forces were all here. However, the Sword Sect, the 5 Elements Sect, and the Long family were all part of the 10 pillars. With 1 against 3, would the martial artists alliance be able to fight against the 3 of them together? No matter how confident and arrogant Tong Tiendi was, it was almost impossible for him to fight against the 3 of them. If the 3 of them joined forces, the martial artists alliance would be in big trouble. Until now, Tong Tiendi still couldn't understand how a small Longao could attract the master of the 3 super forces to come here. Now, it was impossible for the martial artists alliance to keep Longao here. "Brother Sima, Brother Murong, the grudge between me and Longao seems to have nothing to do with you. You want to take Longao away just because of our friendship. Aren't you looking down on the martial artists alliance? Do you think that the martial artists alliance is easy to bully?" Tong Tiendi didn't panic in the face of danger. He looked at the 3 people in front of him and didn't back down. The more they acted like this, the more he knew that he couldn't back down. Otherwise, who knew what would happen in the future? Longao was also a bit confused. Why did Long Di Tien, Murong Guenar, and Sima Tu all want to help him? He could understand Murong Guenar and Long Di Tien's actions, but what about Sima Tu? Longao wasn't an idiot, but he knew that Sima Tu already knew about the matter between him and the Five Elements Patriarch. Otherwise, Sima Tu wouldn't have offended the Martial Artists Alliance by helping him. After all, under normal circumstances, no matter who it was, between him and the Martial Artists Alliance, they would choose the Martial Artists Alliance. Longao was also a bit confused. He didn't know what was going on. After this battle, regardless of whether he could leave the Martial Artists Alliance safely or not, he believed that his name would spread throughout the Qianwu continent. Chapter 1174. In the Qianwu continent, there were 10 factions. Under normal circumstances, the 10 factions would not fall out with each other. Furthermore, the master of each faction was present. Everyone knew that once they fell out with each other, it would be very difficult to mend their relationship. Brother Tong, the three of us will give you an explanation regarding Longao later. His face was gloomy. The three master were gathered in the Martial Artists Alliance. Even if Tong Tiendi was unwilling, he could only agree. Thank you, both of you. Goodbye. Wait. Hearing Sima Tu's words, Long Di Tien was very curious. He asked, Brother Sima, what do you mean? Sima Tu and Murong Guenar looked at each other. Sima Tu smiled and said, Brother Long, there are many things that my Five Elements sect has not figured out. I hope that Longao can come with me. Without giving Long Di Tien any chance to speak, Sima Tu continued, Brother Long, don't worry. I will not mistreat Longao. After I figure out some things, Longao will return to you in one piece. What do you think? If it was any other matter, Sima Tu would have already said so. He believed that Long Di Tien would at least give him some face. But now, Long Di Tien smiled and said, no. Longao, who was at the side, was very depressed when he saw that everyone wanted to take him away. When did he become so popular? Although Tong Tiendi had already given up on keeping him, Longao knew that no matter who he went with, it would not be a good thing. Who would do something that did not benefit them? Not to mention these so-called old foxes. That was exactly the case. Longao had already decided that no matter what happened, he would not go with anyone, not even Long Di Tien. You guys, wait. Everyone looked at the person involved. The four-master of the four great forces, Murong Guenar, Long Di Tien, Tong Tiendi, and Sima Tu all looked at Longao at the same time. Each of them wanted to see what Longao meant. Longao, what do you mean? The four of you, I'm not an object. You can't take me away just because you want to. The four of them didn't take it seriously, because in their eyes, Longao was already a turtle in a jar. How could he possibly leave? The four of them remained silent, waiting to hear what Longao had to say. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. What did that mean? Before the four of them, including the others, could react, a mysterious and strange power suddenly erupted from Longao's body. The space-time wheel. In the end, Longao still used the space-time wheel because he knew very well that he couldn't follow anyone under such circumstances. The only way was to use the space-time wheel. Longao was very clear about what the space-time wheel meant. Previously, he had almost been obliterated by the backlash when he forcefully used the space-time wheel. Longao knew that if he forcefully used the space-time wheel this time, it was unknown whether he would survive or not. He was a little depressed. This time, he was indeed a little reckless. Longao only wanted to protect the secret of the primal Chaos Stone tablet. That was why he disregarded everything and chased after Yang Jian and Wang Hao to enter the Martial Artists Alliance and fight a life-and-death battle with the Martial Artists Alliance. Since he was reckless, he could only pay the price for his recklessness. He no longer cared about life and death. Longao only wanted to leave now. He couldn't leave with any of the four of them. The space-time wheel forcefully broke open the space tunnel, and a terrifying black crack appeared. Seeing this, everyone was shocked, not knowing what had happened. Longao. Ignoring the four of them, Longao stepped into the spacetime tunnel. In the blink of an eye, his body disappeared without a trace. The spacetime tunnel disappeared, and so did Longao's body. The four of them were dumbfounded. Everyone was dumbfounded. How did Longao do it? The four of them looked at each other. They didn't know where Longao went. However, there was one thing that the four of them were sure of. Longao had indeed disappeared. Longao had charged into the Martial Artists Alliance alone and killed over 50 of their demigods and divine disciples. The news of him killing them had already spread throughout the Martial Heaven continent. Just as Longao had thought, no matter who won or lost in this battle, his name would completely shake the entire Sky Martial continent. Other than Longao, who would dare charge into the Martial Artists Alliance alone and kill their disciples? Everyone was guessing just who Longao was. Not long after, Longao's matter was dug out. For Longao, not only did the Long family Long Di Tien personally come, even the sect master of the Five Elements sect, Sima Tu, and the Sword sect master, Emperor Ken, and Murong Guenar had all come to the Martial Artists Alliance for Longao. Under normal circumstances, the four master of the four superpowers had all gathered in the Martial Artists Alliance. Not to mention Longao, even a Nirvana realm martial artist would be dreaming if they wanted to leave. But the result? Under such circumstances, Longao had actually left just like that. As for how Longao left, there were countless versions. The most exaggerated version was that a ray of light shot down from the heavens and silently took Longao away. The Long family, the Martial Artists Alliance, the Sword sect, and the Five Elements sect, the four superpowers, all started to search for Longao. For some reason, the four master of the four superpowers all believed that Longao was still alive. Although it sounded impossible, the four of them did have such a feeling. In the blink of an eye, 10 days had passed. However, the four superpowers still hadn't found any traces of Longao. Every single one of them was incomparably solemn. This was especially true for Long Ditien and Tong Tiendi. One was doing this for the sake of the Alliance's reputation, while the other was doing this for the sake of the primordial divine dragon old ancestor. Long family, in the main hall. Long Di Tien's expression was extremely gloomy, and his expression was as ugly as it could get. After all, 10 days had already passed, and he still hadn't found Longao. If the other three superpowers found Longao first, he would be in big trouble. Father, the primordial divine dragon that Longao mentioned might just be a stalling tactic. He actually doesn't know about it. He nodded, then shook his head. Long Di Tien sighed deeply and said, Tong Tiendi wouldn't lie to us about this. Longao summoned 200 divine dragons for no reason. If we don't figure this out, let alone other things, I won't be able to explain it to the Nine Heavens divine dragon. Regardless of whether Longao knows about the primordial divine dragon or not, we have to find him first. Father, in the vast sky martial continent, if Longao hides, it won't be easy for us to find him. With regards to this, how could Long Di Tien not know? You have to do this secretly. Don't let Longao know. Remember, no matter what happens, you have to find Longao as soon as possible. Do you understand? Longbo had never seen his father like this before. He didn't dare to say anything and said, Father, I'll do it right away. Don't worry, I'll definitely find Longao. P.S. 5 chapters today, 10 chapters tomorrow. I wish everyone a happy Christmas Eve. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,